Thank you, Adrian, and a very good afternoon to you for the latest tie in one of the mouth-watering FA Cups for years. Down to the last 7 sides in the competition, 4 of whom have never won the trophy. 2 of the 3 that haven't done so for more than 65 years. There are a number of sides who genuinely think that this could be their time, including these 2 former clubs of Brian Clough, meeting for the first time today in the one competition that famously he never won. But it was Clough who last won a quarter-final with Forest 34 years ago. And they haven't reached the last 4 since getting to the 1991 final. Whilst Brighton do have recent semi-final experience, their one appearance in the end-of-season showcase was back in the early 80s. And this is how they line up as they look to move within 1 win of the final. 2 changes today. The Bruggen in goal, Hinshelwood, Van Ecke, Webster and Estupinian the back 4. Belieber and Ayari, who replaces Gomez, Minte, Rutter and Mitoma, and Welbeck, cup winner in 2017, who's preferred to João Pedro. Well, Forest play with the back 3 when they beat Brighton 7-0 last month. Looks as though it's going to be a back 4 today. Sells in goal, Aina, Milenkovic, Murillo and Williams. Yates and Danilo, who are both recalled. Dominguez, Gibbs-White and Anderson. And Awonyi, who replaces the injured Wood. So, Hudson-Odoi and Elanga both drop to the bench, where they're joined by Morato, Sangare, Toffolo, Alex Moreno, Jota Silva, Bolly and Carlos Miguel. Brighton's bench, Dunk, who's back from injury, Gruder, João Pedro, Adingra, Cashin, Gomez, O'Reilly, 19-year-old centre-half Charlie Tasker, and keeper Tom McGill. Stuart, it is interesting that they've changed the formation, Forest. I know they predominantly play with a back 4, but when you've had success, such huge success as recent as playing with a back 3 in that 7-0 win 8 weeks ago, are you surprised that Forest aren't playing the same way that they did when they won that game so convincingly?
Yeah, I am, Jim, if I'm being quite honest with you. I mean, that game was a fantastic victory for Forest that day. Bit unfair on Brighton. Brighton had a couple of good chances within the game and made mistakes that were punished, but I think maybe part of this is maybe keeping the squad a little bit happy as well, resting a couple. They've got United in the week as well. But for me, if you're Nottingham Forest now and you're Nuno, the priority is the FA Cup. It really is. The league will take care of itself.
Well, it was only 8 weeks ago that Nottingham Forest beat Brighton 7-0, the Seagulls' biggest defeat since the 1950s. How sweet revenge would be. But Forest are the top-ranked side left in the Cup. So can they marry their best league season in 30 years to their first Cup semi-final in 34? Forest red shirts, white shorts, kicking from right to left, defending the south stand here at the Amex, which houses the travelling Nottingham Forest supporters. Immediately Ruta for Brighton in their familiar blue and white wins a free kick, foul by Elliot Anderson. They have played this way before, Forest, in terms of formation, with Dominguez, Gibbs-White and Anderson behind the striker. And there's no natural width there, but they did it at Liverpool so effectively early in the season. Their best away win of the campaign so far. But that's the only other time that they have played with those 3 in midfield behind a central striker. They played with Anderson and Dominguez wide in a home defeat to Fulham. It's going to be very interesting to see how it progresses, but it is a back 4 in these early stages. As far as Forest are concerned, they've got a throw down away to our right-hand side that Nico Williams is going to take. He scored the 6th in the 7-0 win against the Albion last month, and like so many other players on duty today, just back from international duty in the week. Williams, who played 90 minutes against North Macedonia on Tuesday. Long throw from him. Just missed Awonyi. Danilo is able to get a touch and work it back to his goalkeeper, Matt Sells, who's already been an FA Cup hero for Nottingham Forest this season. They've got through 2 penalty shootouts in the last 2 rounds to see off Exeter and Ipswich. Well, with no disrespect to either, it's a more significant challenge you would imagine they're facing today. Gibbs-White coming to meet the long ball played forward. Didn't get anything on it, but Awonyi can, and he can work it wide towards Nico Dominguez. Right-hand side of the area, ball flicked in, it's cleared. It doesn't break Danilo's way, but Gibbs-White can then pick it up just outside the penalty area. It's 0-0 with a couple of minutes gone here. The ball worked out to the Forest left-hand side for Williams, who wins the first corner. which Nottingham Forest will take away to our left-hand side. You're with TalkSport, and a very good afternoon to you as well, or potentially good morning, depending on whereabouts in North America you are, if you're joining us on Sirius XM FC, listening to our coverage across the United States and Canada. First corner then to be taken on the Nottingham Forest left. Danilo's going to take it. There are 6 Forest players inside the penalty area. Williams is waiting on the edge of the box. Anderson there as well. Swung in towards the penalty spot. Van Hecker's able to easily clear. Williams hooking it back in. And Minte can get that away. Mitoma then down towards Estupiñán, who tried to lead the counter-attack. Forest can deal with that, but put it out of play. And it's a throw that Brighton will have in their right-back position on this near touchline. 2.5 gone. It's Brighton 0, Nottingham Forest 0 here, Stuart Pearce.
Yeah, every time I come down to Brighton, I'm intrigued by the questions that they ask of the opposition in regard to the tactical lineup. I was at the game I think it was the back end of last year against Manchester United. It was one of the best games I've watched. You know, it was just intriguing as a coach watching the game. It was superb, and I think we got some great matchups around the pitch today, Jim, that are going to dictate probably which way this tie's going.
Well, when you and Adrian were talking just a few minutes ago before the game started about the fact that Brighton love to flood the midfield, and so it's interesting that Forest have picked so many central midfielders, 4 in all really, 5 if you include Gibbs White in there. Brighton have got possession at the moment with Curtis Estupiñán. Plays the ball to his left-hand side for Kaoru Mitoma. Mitoma, who is also on international duty for Japan, but hasn't played for 10 days, so he's been back for a bit. Here's the blonde-haired Van Hecker, who started both legs for the Netherlands against Spain in the Nations League quarter-finals. His ball forward, dealt with by Milenkovic. Ruta tried to help it on. Williams doesn't want to play the way he's facing. He's hooked it back over his own shoulder into the midfield, where it becomes a fight ball. Belieber won that. Aina is there to stab it away. No time for anybody to even take stock or assess the situation or think in the midfield. It really has been played at a great tempo in these early stages, and as Forest work it forward, it's mopped up easily at the back by Adam Webster for Brighton to find his goalkeeper Verbruggen. 0-0.
Yeah, I think as well it's fair to touch on with Forest with Hudson-Odoi and Elanga on the bench. You've got a couple of individuals that can come off the bench and influence a game late on. That I don't know whether Nuno had that up his sleeve, you know, that impact that they might cause.
Well, they are back in action on Tuesday night. They take on Manchester United at the City Ground, and I think that is definitely at the forefront of his thinking. Forest coming into this on the back of 2 straight wins. Brighton have won 6 out of the last 7, including the last 4 here. As Brighton working for Yakuba Minte's offside. Flag up from assistant referee James Mannering in front of us. Referee today, incidentally, Peter Banks. Free kick that Williams will take for Nottingham Forest. 0-0. Here's Elliot Anderson, the heart of the midfield for Forest. Square to his right-hand side for Dominguez. So the 2 wide midfielders that Forest have will just drop back into deeper lying central areas on occasions, as we've seen from Anderson and Dominguez there. One you try to flick on a long ball here for Gibbs White, who will chase after it. Webster won the chase, gets it back to Sells, who clears. I think it just hit Gibbs White on its way out. It did. He came that close to being able to charge it down, but it's just brushed off him really as Sells clears. It goes out of play for a Brighton throw. Yeah,
what Brighton haven't done well in these early stages is forward passes, hurried clearances from Forest that are straight balls really, that are defenders' favourite to get on the end of, have been flicked on by Gibbs White and Iwonyi respectively, and they've caused the odd problem. They must make sure that they win that first contact and send it back where it come from.
Good strength from Williams to win a throw. He plays the ball back for Murillo, who in turn finds his goalkeeper. Sells out to Milenkovic, who plays a long straight ball forward. Gibbs White coming to meet that with Van Hecker, and he won it cleanly, but just nudged it ahead of Dominguez, and then Mitoma able to pick up the loose ball with a lovely turn, will drive forward down the Brighton left, faced up by Aina, and across comes Dominguez to put the ball out of play for a close. Another illustration there of what you were talking about.
Yeah, exactly. As I say, it was a straight ball, a long ball over 40-50 yards by Milenkovic, and it shouldn't really be a first contact by Gibbs White, a Forest player, to be quite honest with you. And just looking at that matchup, Mitomo and Anya, that's going to be an interesting one out that side of the pitch there.
Brighton in possession with Webster to Van Hecker. Down to the right-hand side for the stumbling Minto, who's back on his feet in the nick of time to be able to maintain this latest spell of possession for Brighton. Webster with a long left-footed diagonal ball, trying to get it over Williams for Reuter's run, and came close to doing so. In the end, Hinshelwood comes across and heads it out of play. That was the first effective long diagonal that Brighton have been able to play. Williams back for Anderson, who clears, and again Gibbs White first contact. He drew Webster out of position that time, and then Awonyi tried to play him in. Gibbs White sensed he might be offside, tried to break his run, and Brighton could clear. Goes out to Aina, and Aina under pressure from Mitoma plays it back inside his own half for Dominguez, and here's Anderson again in this strange role that he's got today. Forest have it, they able to build forward down the left-hand side, but when they haven't got it, it'll drop back in as the deepest of the central midfielders. Yates showing for a pass into the feet of Awoniyi instead. Back from him to Ryan Yates again. Forest skipper working wide out to the right-hand side for Aina. Aina and Gibbs White exchanging passes. Aina then able to turn the Nigerian back for Gibbs White, who's just chipped it straight over the line and out of play for a throw that will be taken over on the Brighton left-hand side. Well, it is 34 years since Nottingham Forest last won a quarter-final. You remember that on your run to Wembley? The quarter-final game?
No.
It was Norwich.
Yes.
A 1-0 win Roy Keane scored.
Yes.
At Carrow Road, that's right. As Brighton bring the ball forward here, and Reuter tries to slip it in towards Minte. Mitoma is able to pick up the seconds, and now Baliba, under pressure from Dominguez, will lay the ball back. Forest have played in 3 FA Cup quarter-finals since then. Haven't scored in any of them, most recently in 2022. In the promotion-winning season when Liverpool's Jota scored, as Van Hecker's brought down here. Just got caught late by Taiwo Awoniyi, and it's free kick to Brighton inside their own half. Back in the 90s, 1996, Franz Carr came back to haunt Nottingham Forest with a winner for Villa. Alan McLaughlin got the only goal of the game when Portsmouth beat Forest in the quarter-finals 33 years ago. Late great Alan McLaughlin. Free kick here which Hinshelwood would take. Brighton on the other hand chasing a third semi-final in 7 seasons. They've had success at this stage recently against Millwall and Grimsby. Hinshelwood taking the free kick back behind square for Van Hecker. And worked forward by him through the midfield for Webster, and now towards Mitoma over on the far touchline, the Brighton left as they kick from left to right. Now ball swung in by Ayari, too hot. And Minte acknowledging that he was the right pass to play, but far too heavily hit, and Sells can watch you behind into the hoardings in front of those travelling Forest supporters. And we're through the opening 10 minutes here. It's 0-0, Stu.
Yeah, it's just looking at Brighton, they played that diagonal ball or the ball straight over the top of Williams on a couple of occasions. Might be something that they've certainly looked at. The movement's been there either with or without the ball, so either from a diagonal area or a straight one sort of from fullback beyond the opposite fullback.
Sells driving another long ball forward, and Awoniyi beaten this time in the air by Webster, but still Forest winning the seconds in that situation. It was Dominguez that guided it down for Ryder, and then Gibbs White with the outside of his right boot. He's given Williams something to chase here, and he's done well to keep it in and win another corner. That was an excellent pass, and Nico Williams herring after it, got there just ahead of Minte, who tracked back with him. Well, Williams flicked it off him and out of play for a second Forest corner. Yeah,
Forest being the away side here, they've approached the game. You can see that air of confidence they've got that's been backed up by obviously the form they're showing in their league position.
Danilo will take this corner. It's the same setup for Forest, with one inside the 6-yard box and another 5 deeper in the penalty area. Headed away by Van Hecker. Anderson, after the ball bounce, can just turn it forward, but the flag straight up over on the far side. There was a shove by Yates, and it's a free kick to Brighton inside their own penalty area through the opening 12 minutes. Palace already through. And speaking to a few Brighton fans, they think it's inevitable that should the Seagulls get through today, and none of them were taking it for granted by any stretch of the imagination, but if they do, they think there is an inevitability that it's going to be Brighton against Palace in the semi-finals. We'll bring you both of those semi-finals, incidentally. One on April the 26th, so it's 4 weeks today. The other 4 weeks tomorrow, the 27th. And we've got the 2 remaining FA Cup quarter-finals for you tomorrow as well. Preston against Aston Villa and Bournemouth against Manchester City, which you won't hear anywhere else on national radio. They're both for you tomorrow. Yates in the midfield, getting it forward here for Gibbs-White, who just stopped to invite the challenge, was caught by Ayari, who helps him back to his feet. And it's a free kick that Forest will take on the edge of the centre circle, 0-0.
Yeah, a little bit disappointed that Gibbs-White didn't get a straight call-up for England. I think his attitude was outstanding when he was called up on the Sunday, but certainly he's playing, you can tell he's full of beans in his play, Jim.
Well, free kick that Murillo's going to take here for Forest. Brighton keeping a high line, 8-9 yards outside the penalty area, and apart from Mitoma, pretty much everybody is in that defensive line. Now they drop deep as Murillo sends it forward. It's headed by Milinkovic towards the edge of the penalty area. Brighton clear with Ayari, but it's straight into Danilo, who rightly survives the handball shout against him. And Danilo taking it down towards the byline, gets the ball in, headed away by Hinshelwood, and then chipped back over the top, but not to good effect, and straight out of play for a goal kick that'll be taken by Brighton's Bart Verbruggen. It's half-time in the Women's Six Nations. Let's get the details from TalkSport's Lisa O'Sullivan.
A great first 10 minutes for Wales saw them 7-0 up. Jenny Scoville opening the scoring with Kira Bevan converting, but dismantled somewhat. 4 tries in 16 minutes from England means at half-time at the Principality Stadium in the Women's Six Nations, it's Wales 7, England 26.
Thank you, Lisa. Further details to follow as the ball is played forward. Morgan Gibbs-White, Wanyi chesting it back into his path. He's made his way over towards the right-hand touchline. Now Ryan Yates can take over, although Estupinian quickly got between him and the ball. He just nudges it down towards his own corner flag, where Ayari's going to be able to, or should have been able to get it away. The Forest won it back though with Dominguez. Aina. Now Anderson. Work through the midfield towards Danilo. Aina will take charge again for Nottingham Forest. Over on the far touchline there, right into the feet of Gibbs-White, who's been given next to no time. Danny Welbeck back to try and detail him on this occasion. Ryan Yates. The Forest just edged back towards halfway. Neither goalkeeper with anything to do through the opening 15 minutes, but it's a game that's been played at a good tempo and a good standard as well. You can tell that both sides have come into it with a real confidence and swagger about them. Elliot Anderson's got it again in the midfield. Played back by him to Yates, to Gibbs-White. Anderson continues his run forward. Yates able to pick up the seconds. Just turns away from Mitoma. Back out towards Gibbs-White. Ball fired forward up the right-hand side of the penalty area for Taiwo Wanyi's run. He's only got 1 goal in his last 28 Premier League games, the Nigerian. Replacing the injured Chris Wood today. He's got it again, right-hand side of the area. The angle's tight. Verbruggen saves with his foot. Comes out for Nico Williams, and he just didn't sit up for him. So he nodded it down and waited for it to drop, and Minter made sure that it didn't drop onto Williams' left foot. Good defending. That's the closest that either side have come so far.
Yeah, early observations from me here, Jim. I'm finding there's not enough pressure on the ball probably from Brighton on Forest when they've got the ball. They're comfortable in possession, they're not hurried, they're not rushed, and when the ball has gone forward into advanced areas, Brighton have not won first contact, and Forest have either got good possession in advanced areas, or alternatively, when it has been half cleared, they've picked up secondaries.
And that was the case when the two sides met early last month as well. I mean, it's a different Brighton formation. That day they had Hinshelwood, who's playing at right back today. Takes a throw now, playing as the one solitary central midfielder for the first half, and he got completely overrun. But still Forest having the joy in that kind of area again today.
Yeah, they've just played a straightforward ball into a corner channel. 1 Forest player, 3 recovering defenders for Brighton, and it's Iwanya who's turned the ball over and got his team a throw-in. Little things like that erode your team down over 90 minutes if you're not careful.
Well, Williams will come across to take this throw. Murillo just kicks one match ball away. which have been returned from the Brighton supporters away to our left. So Williams taking 4, 5, 6 steps back, and he's just motioning with his fingers of his left hand that he wants someone a little bit closer to him. Couldn't find Yates, who he'd been hoping would supply the near post flick. Brighton get it away. Comes back out for Nico Williams again. The Welshman with a little reverse ball. Hinshelwood read it, his teammates didn't. And Brighton will be able to clear with a real high up and under from Belieber, and Mint is going to chase after it, and he's certainly got the beating of Milenkovic for pace. He gave him a 10-yard head start, so it was a relatively easy win for the Serbian international, but all he could do was put it out of play for a throw that will be taken by Brighton, only 3 or 4 yards adrift to the edge of the Forest penalty area.
Yeah, it's part of Brighton's play that I'm surprised they pull everyone back for free kicks, for corners, and it's that counter-attack threat. I've not seen them break out really aggressively as yet.
Forest will try and do that now, though, with Gibbs wide out towards Dominguez. Back from him to Aina. Now Brighton very quickly had 10 back behind the ball. That took all the momentum out of Forest's potential counter. So Yates goes back for Dominguez again, and now Elliot Anderson's got it in the heart of the midfield. 18 gone, 0-0. Early today, a big win for Crystal Palace, 3-0 at Fulham. And Leeds dropping points to a goal in the 6th minute of stoppage time at home to Swansea in the Championship title race. So Sheffield United are top of the Championship at the moment. Gibbs White, left-hand side of the penalty area, gets there and wins another corner with a low cross that's blocked by Hinshelwood. But they're finding those pockets of space far too easily.
Exactly that, Jim. As I say, that's been prevalent from the early minutes onwards. And on that occasion, it's Gibbs White setting the ball off, spinning in behind, and far too easy to get in and behind Hinshelwood. And there's the telltale signs are there for Brighton. If they're not careful, when if Forest get their nose in front, their counter-attack play will be very, very prevalent.
Elliot Anderson across to take this corner. Danilo and Williams both waiting on the edge of the penalty area. Everybody back for Brighton within 10-11 yards of the goal. Peter Banks, the referee, just going across and having a look at where the ball has been placed. He and Anderson having a discussion about it. And then the referee runs away. So Anderson's obviously talked him round. No, it's all right. Some of that ball is touching the quadrant, honest. And that was good enough. In it comes towards the far post. Dominguez going up for it. And with Awoniyi both attacking the same ball. Brighton scramble it away. And he goes out of play for another Forest corner. We're 19 minutes in. The visitors the better team through the opening period of this game. 4 corners without reply. Anderson trotting across to take this latest one as well. And he just removes the match ball off one of the blue cones. And now, again, spots the ball down on the quadrant. So it's the referee well placed to see that it's been legitimately placed this time. Milenkovic making a run in towards the near post. It's just too high for him. It's clear. Minte, first to it ahead of Anderson, who has got a little bit lucky in the end. He was brave to block the ball forward down the line by Minte, and then it's ricocheted off him and straight into the Brighton man and out for a throw that will be Forest's midway inside the Brighton half. 20 gone, 0-0 here on TalkSport and across North America on Sirius XM FC. This time's going to be an Aina throw. He's got a longer throw than Williams, so the player's taking up station around the edge of the 6-yard box, but that was a little bit optimistic because it was easily cleared by Stupinian. He's got it away towards halfway. Back from Murillo. Elliot Anderson again, right-footed, clip forward to Awoniyi, just couldn't get that. And Verbruggen, the tallest man on the pitch, comes out and claims it comfortably, and then bowls it straight forward through the midfield, and Belieber will be able to draw 2 Forest players and then nudge it down the touchline, but such was the pressure from Anderson and Awoniyi that he's just hit it early and straight out of play. Certainly Forest a better team at the moment, Stuart.
Oh, by far the better team. They've not turned that into goal-scoring opportunities, though. And what I would say, they've forced a lot of corners and the odd free kick. They've not really looked a threat, have they, at all, Forest, in any way from those. But the other side of that is Brighton have got good first contact on most of them that have come in the box, but not having brought everyone back, shown any sort of counter-attack threat either.
Well, possession 60-40 in Forest's favour. I don't think too many would necessarily have seen that coming. Just the one attempt so far. It's come from the visitors. It's been on target. Brighton without even a sight of Sells' goal at the moment, and the latest long diagonal that's sent down towards Minter, again, like 2 or 3 of the previous ones, overhit and sails straight out of play for a throw that will be taken on the Nottingham Forest left-hand side. Brighton have got this far by beating Norwich, Chelsea and Newcastle in extra time at St James's Park. So hoping to beat 3 top-flight teams in the FA Cup in the same season. Last time, in fact the only other time they managed that, back in 1983 when they beat Manchester City, Liverpool and Norwich en route to the final, but they couldn't win the all-important one against Manchester United. And it comes so close with that very good chance late on in the period of extra time in the first game, which Gordon Smith couldn't put away, and they then lost the replay. That remains their only ever FA Cup final. Danilo back through the midfield towards Morgan Gibbs-White. Anderson driving forward. Gibbs-White instead looking for Williams, and that pass was overhit and it's gone out of play. It's not been the usual accuracy about the passing from either team really in the opening 22-23 minutes or so. 0-0.
No, you're right. They've not been clinical with their passing. Brighton especially have overhit that diagonal that they're looking to get in from sort of almost left to right in towards Minter. Anderson losing out to Welbeck. He won this competition back in 2017. From him to Matoma. Now Webster can work it forward down the Brighton left-hand side for Danny Welbeck. Ruta occupying the centre halves, wanted to make a darting run, but there was no pass for him to chase. Albion still building up with Van Acker, Minter in towards the feet on the edge of the area. Ruta, Ayari, Welbeck stuck out of right foot and couldn't quite bring the ball down. And Ian Spurs to the loose one over on the far touchline and can bring it away for Nottingham Forest. Plays it back for Milenkovic. Pass straight through his penalty area for Murillo. And now he drives it forward towards halfway. It's under hit. Hinshaw coming to meet it, and it's just taken a little nudge off him and gone out of play for what has rightly been given as a Nottingham Forest throw on halfway. 0-0. 24 minutes gone. What would Nuno have made of the opening 24 minutes? Because he'll be pleased with a lot of aspects, undoubtedly, but a frustration that they haven't created more with the advantages that they've created. Yeah, I think he'd be a little bit disappointed with some of the set plays they've had. They've forced a lot of set plays, Jim. Milenkovic, who's caused a problem in the Premier League, definitely in this season from set plays, has not really got. They've not had first contact on anything. I don't think that will be a disappointment. But how they've controlled the ball and controlled the game and quieten the crowd down here as well will be a real plus to him. From Brighton's point of view, have just failed to get any sustained possession really and get up the pitch even. Here's Milenkovic again, who's making his FA Cup debut today. A player who's the runner-up in the Coppa Italia a couple of years ago with Fiorentina. Down towards Murillo. And Murillo taking it back towards the edge of his own penalty area and again working it back for Matt Salz. Driven forward by Salz. Long one for Gibbs-White to try and get to. Webster's able to easily head that away. Dominguez turns it back and Milenkovic then lets the ball bounce and nods it calmly back for Matt Salz, the Belgian, in the Nottingham Forest goal. Well, Forest's season absolutely magnificent, but if you're looking really critically, their away form against top half teams has been poor, surprisingly poor really. Just 5 points out of 8 games away from home against top 10 opposition in the Premier League. They won at Anfield, but only drawn 2 of the other 7 matches that they have played away to top 10 sides. Brighton, on the other hand, unbeaten at home to top 10 sides. On the front foot here with Welbeck finding Matoma. Couldn't quite supply the return ball. Ayari from distance. And Sells dived to his left. He was very grateful to see that one took a little nick in front of him. And it's gone out of play for Brighton's first corner. Yeah, it's the first time sort of Forest looked a little bit unhinged there. Brighton, quick counter-attack. Certain players just getting pulled out of position slightly and all of a sudden panic stations. And I think he's just skimmed off Yates actually. He's got a little nick, I think, just to send this for Brighton's first corner. Well, an important one. It might have been close to being Ayari's first goal for the club.
Home crowd find their voice again. Corner to be taken on the Brighton and Hove Albion right. 27 gone, 0-0. Stupinian hitting it in, left-footed, very deep. Van Hecke coming around the back. There's a push spotted by referee Banks, and it's a free kick to Nottingham Forest. 0-0, 27 gone.
Yeah, just sending Hinshelwood over. Just noticed that early. Just got some blood dropping from below his knee. Just getting that tidied up. I mean,
just being attended to now. He did score against Forest here in the 2-2 draw earlier this season, back in September. Danny Welbeck got the other Brighton goal that day. Wood and Sosa, the two Forest goal scorers. Gibbs White sent off. Both of the head coaches sent off as well. Right, the last 6 games between these two, there have been 21 goals. 6 penalties, of which 5 have been scored, 4 red cards and 3 own goals. He's got a lot to live up to today. Brighton temporarily down to 10. Roots has dropped in at right back whilst Hinshelwood is being attended to. The ball sent over the top for Williams. His runners just drifted past everybody and got out of play for a goal kick. Hinshelwood, having had the blood cleaned up, is back on, and Brighton are up to their full complement of 11. That a reminder that we're playing to a finish, so it's extra time and penalties if necessary. And a few closers on the bench. You talked about Hudson-Odoi and Elanga being amongst the Forest subs that can be called upon by Nuno, but Joao Pedro and Adingra there amongst the Brighton subs. Van Hecke in possession. Playing in Webster. Good to see Lewis Dunk back in the Brighton squad today after missing the last 7 weeks through injury. He's on the bench. Van Hecke falling towards Rutter. Down towards Hinshelwood, and the first time ball back under pressure from Danilo to guide it back through the midfield for Van Hecke again. Van Hecke for Webster. Van Hecke just saw that his route back to his goalkeeper was closed down by Dominguez, so turned it forward instead. Rutter comes to chase a ball that's hit down the channel and has barreled Williams over in the process to give Nottingham Forest a free kick.
Yeah, good press there from Forest at the front. They smelt blood. Ball's gone out wide. Van Hecke just unceremoniously dumped on his backside and didn't overly enjoy it, I don't think, from Gibbs White.
Here's Anderson coming forward towards halfway. Williams ahead of him, Murillo behind him, back towards the Brazilian. A long diagonal from Murillo, who made his international debut on Tuesday. Aina with the ball in here, and Awonyu almost got there ahead of Van Hecke, who could sweep up and get it away. Ryan Yates picks it up, and now back from him to Dominguez, and Milenkovic out of the right-hand side again. Gibbs White shaped to cross, but thought that Aina was in a better position, so rolled it up the touchline for the Nigerian. His delivery is blocked. It comes back out again outside the area. Gibbs White hooking it in after a little bobbly bounce in front of him, and he got his left foot underneath it and really up and under it, straight out of play for a goal kick that will be taken by Verbruggen for Brighton. The first half hour is raced by, even though neither goalkeeper has got their gloves dirty yet.
No, for a game when there's been no goal-mouth action, it's been quite an intriguing game, and Gibbs White, just the longer the game goes on, the more his stats are racking up of just not getting passes right on occasion too often. Just needs to clean that up as part of his game, certainly today.
He's playing in this number 10 role again, but drifting out of the right-hand side when required. Brighton hook it forward, and Ayari's trying to help it on towards Matoba. Dominguez back to clear. Awonyu certainly put a real shift in so far. His heat map will show that he's been pretty much everywhere. Brighton winning back again though. Baliba trying to turn under duress, plays it back for Purvis Estupinian. Van Hecke can just saunter forward into Nottingham Forest territory. Roll it into the feet of Hinshelwood. Van Hecke again. Down to the right-hand touchline. Kuba Minte. Former Newcastle man shown inside by Danilo. Purvis Estupinian urged to shoot, and he's obliged. It was a horrible one. Took a really nasty bounce in front of Sells, got his body behind it, spilled off him, and it was all about who was the most alert from that point. It was Forest, and they could get it away and hook it out for a throw, but Brighton's first shot on target was a really good one from distance.
Yeah, they're operating with long-range efforts here. The one previously was deflected wide. Themselves was pretty unsure about that, as you rightly said. Horrible bounce about a yard or two in front of him.
They just jumped up. But he did well, adjusted, got it away. Good strike from Estupiñán. Brighton, confidence beginning to grow. Trying to get Estupiñán in again. And Gibbs-White made sure that he didn't find it. Webster comes across the cover but made a mess of getting it away, and then Yates gets caught, and it's a free kick to Forest.
Yeah, good recovery there. Just turned it over, and Yates just being caught from behind, so he's suggesting anyway. Yeah, potentially there was a touch on the ball between his legs, but it was certainly a follow-through, caught him on the back of the thigh.
Estupiñán certainly thought that he won the ball cleanly. And the free kick given Nottingham Forest's way. Estupiñán then the pains to request that Brighton take that Forest take it to the right place. They just move the ball back a couple of yards. Nikola Milenkovic has scored in his last couple of away games for Forest. Taking this free kick back for Anderson. Anderson now for Murillo. And Murillo with a ball that's drifted through the midfield. It wasn't the pass he intended to play, but Aina could retrace his steps and keep the move alive. He's gone back for Gibbs-White. 0-0 here on TalkSport with 33 minutes played in the second of this weekend's FA Cup quarter-finals. Two outstanding ones tomorrow. Ball inside the penalty area. Wonyi, Williams lets it bounce. Danilo can't get there. Ruta hooks it away. Back over the top from Murillo. That's cleared as well. And Mintis touched back towards his own penalty area. Fell Ayari's way. Welbeck looking for Mitoma. Anderson's picked his pocket in a dangerous position. Right-footed ball swung through the 6-yard box. And Wonyi on the stretch couldn't get the turn to turn it in. Yeah,
Anderson not only picked his pocket there, he stepped in front, he read the danger, he roared forward, brushed Mitoma aside and set up a great opportunity to whip the ball in just a little bit too heavy from the flanks for Wonyi, who was arriving just too late.
I mentioned that it's Preston Villa and Bournemouth Manchester City in the FA Cup tomorrow at 1:30 and 4:30 respectively. And then we've got more Premier League action coming your way Wednesday and Thursday, including Brighton's next game here against Villa Wednesday night, 7:45. It's a game that isn't on the UK TV, but it is live and exclusive on TalkSport, our 350th live commentary of the season. Also that night, Manchester City, Leicester on TalkSport 2, Southampton Palace on the app. Southampton potentially could go down on the 6th of April. They need points on Wednesday, and then Thursday night another exclusive game for you, Chelsea against Tottenham. Tuesday, incidentally, we don't have live action. Forest at home to Manchester United. Will keep you updated. Adrian and Troy Deeney at the City Ground. Game, Dean Ashton and Arsenal. If any consequence happens in any of the games on Tuesday night, you'll hear about it on the award-winning TalkSport. Milenkovic plays the ball forward here, goes over Hinshelwood. Minte retracing his steps as he retreats, and then Williams puts the pressure on to force a poor clearance. Comes back out for Danilo. Danilo to Yates. Anderson just takes it and drags it away from Ayari. Great approach play, but a poor pass to follow it. Belieber can win it back for Brighton. Goes square across the edge of his own penalty area before launching it long for Mitoma. But Milenkovic, again, able to easily mop up. Plays it back for his goalkeeper. Sells Murillo. Murillo unsure after a something or nothing back pass. Forced a something or nothing touch from the goalkeeper. Murillo then struggled to get it away, and it hit Ruta, but he couldn't control it. It was hit to him briskly from close range, and Forest lucky to get it back.
Yeah, very lucky indeed. To be fair, they've been pretty good prior to that. Anything that's got particularly tight, they've just turned it forward and managed to get first or second contact on it. On that occasion, a poor ball from the goalkeeper put Murillo in big trouble.
There's the law of diminishing returns at one stage there. Every subsequent pass getting worse than the one before it. But Forest able to survive. 0-0. The most significant moment of the night still lies ahead of us. The ball sailing over Williams' head. Out of play for a Brighton throw. Minte back for Hinshelwood. Hinshelwood's 10 yards inside his own half. Regarded by some as one of the real outstanding English number 6s of the modern game, although it's not a position that he frequently appears in for his club. He's seeing more action in this right-back role these days. He's got it now.
I think he, for one, will be pleased with the team selection of Forest. You know, not having an out-and-out wide player winger to deal with playing in that right-back berth.
Well, he's still potentially got Ilanga and Hudson-Odoi to deal with at some stage, but neither of them on at the moment, which, if you're a right-back, you're delighted about that you've not got Hudson-Odoi up against you right now. Yates putting a tackle in and winning it back for Nottingham Forest, deep inside his own half, but Gibbs-White can bring it away. Turns neatly to play Dominguez in, who comes through the centre circle and releases Nico Williams. Williams checking, getting the ball back and away from Minte, who's got a lot of defensive responsibility to deal with these advanced runs from Nico Williams, but did it very well there. Milenkovic inside the centre circle, goes back out towards the right hand side for Ola Aina, and now the Nigerian can bring it forward again with 7 minutes to go to half time here on TalkSport, as Yates plays the ball out towards the Nottingham Forest right for Gibbs-White. His pass evaded Anderson in the midfield, and Brighton again looking to try and bring it away. Welbeck just dropping back inside his own half. Back from him for Ruta. Ruta spinning one over the top. Mitoma trying to take it into his stride. A poor first touch. And Milenkovic could do the rest to shepherd it back for the on-rushing goalkeeper.
I've got to say, I'd like to see that again, but Aina just was nowhere to be seen when the ball was played inside him. And Mitoma, if he'd have got a decent touch on that, he would have been in.
Just stole a march between Aina and Milenkovic. Just hadn't been picked up at all by the ball watching right back for Nottingham Forest. Although Aina, who played 90 minutes of international football for Nigeria against Zimbabwe on Tuesday, it has been quite a quick turnaround for some of these players. Murillo hasn't been back too long. Now, Ramon Sosa, the last of the Nottingham Forest players to return. And he's not involved in the 20 today. Another long ball launch for Gibbs-White. Losing out to Minte. Now back he goes for Bart Verbruggen. Well, great tempo about the game in the early stages. It has dissipated somewhat, but that was inevitable. It was absolute breakneck speed through the opening at 15-20 minutes or so.
I've been a little bit disappointed with Brighton's counter-attack threat. I don't think it's been quick enough, and on occasion when they have turned the ball over in mid-third, the crowd's reaction tells you everything. There's a little bit, come on, let's get forward, let's make advance runs very quickly, and I've not seen that as much from them.
They're beaten here this season by Palace and Everton and knocked out of the League Cup by Liverpool, but those are the only defeats that they've suffered on the road. They've won half of their games here at the Amex, including each of the last 4, having had a barren run on home turf before that. Forest, on the other hand, a side that you have been able to get at when they've travelled recently. 15 goals they've conceded in their last 5 away games, which when you consider the great form they've been in, was a surprising statistic. Van Acker forward towards Welbeck, the 34-year-old towards Minte, little nutmeg of Williams for Hinshelwood's run. Murillo comes out from the centre to deal with the threat and get it away. Williams sticks a right boot up quite high, but fairly. Wins it back. Yates then mops up, goes back to his goalkeeper. Sells, passes it away under pressure from Welbeck. Williams will swipe it forward on the half volley. Wanyi battling with Van Acker, who just stood his ground. And Wanyi thought there was a little bit more in it than that, and he was obstructed. No complaints though from any of the Nottingham Forest contingent really. Brighton will be able to bring it away with Van Acker getting it back now from Webster. 3.5 to go to half time. Hinshelwood making good ground down the right hand side. Minte, and that was an over-hit cross that actually doubled up as a shot on target, but was never likely to trouble Sales.
Yeah, I think for Brighton to come into this game and be a bit more forceful within it, their two wide players in Minte and Matoma have got to have more effect on the game, I really do.
And Forest still struggling to create anything of any consequence. They had the first shot of the day, and haven't had one since. Matoma turning into trouble rather than away from it. Nico Dominguez winning it back. Now Aina will try and bring it forward. That's easily cut out though on the Brighton left. Good play by Estupinian, who then makes his run forward as Hinshelwood brings it away. Comes forward towards halfway and then turns back again. Thinks about going back to his goalkeeper, goes square instead, and then having played the pass is very quick to berate Minte for not making the right movement ahead of him. Forest again try to win a 50-50 in the heart of the midfield, but could have set up a counter-attack, but they can't get that right. Now Brighton working out to the left for Estupinian. Ball down the line from him towards Ayari. Milenkovic comes across the cover and clears. And then Mitoma again catches his man. Forest have got possession. The referee says play on. Nuno's not happy. He's jumping up and down now on the edge of the technical area. Play does stop now. It was a poor challenge from Kaoru Mitoma. I think Nuno was furious with that, and furious the play was a stop to give Nottingham Forest a free kick. Dominguez is okay. He's back on his feet. That was a two from Mitoma in about 20 seconds or so.
Yeah, I don't know whether his frustration was with the challenge itself or the frustration that Forest had the ball and didn't go forward on the back of it quickly enough.
Playing it forward now. Long diagonal out towards the corner of the penalty area. Yates fields that. Back from him to Dominguez. Maybe still feeling the effects of that. A challenge on him by Mitoma a few moments ago. Keep an eye on that. Ball laid back towards Aina. Aina to Murillo. It's 0-0 here at the Amex on Talk Sport. And Murillo lays it back for Dominguez, who takes his eye off it. And he goes straight out of play for a throw that'll be taken over on the far touchline of Brighton and Hove Albion left. And before this season, they'd only won 4 of their last 13 FA Cup ties against Premier League opposition. They've won a couple this season. Forest, on the other hand, before this season, had only won 9 FA Cup ties against anybody in the last 15 years. It hasn't been a competition that's brought them a huge amount of joy. They had a good run under Steve Cooper a few years back, where they knocked out then holders Leicester and beat Arsenal as well before succumbing to Liverpool in the quarterfinals. Not had too much cup joy since then. Van Ecke sweeping the ball across the edge of the penalty area, where Mitoma can just take a step back and then control the ball on his chest. Gets it in past Aina, and Anderson clears. Out for the shot from distance, and Belieber's effort really close. Sells wouldn't have got to that had it been creeping in the bottom right hand corner. He's done a significant amount of damage to a camera behind the goal. It was brilliantly struck by Belieber, and that's as close as either side have come.
Yeah, it certainly was. Mitoma working a bit of magic on the width there, and as it's been cleared, come out to the edge of the box. Great technique. I've got to say, he's cut across the ball, and that is inches away from that far post. Good strike.
Unless you're the cameraman, who I hope is ensured he's got simultaneously a massive problem because his kit's now broken, but he's also got a brilliant photograph of the ball coming towards his camera at high speed. I think he would probably have rather traded one for the other, as Anderson is now caught in midfield. We're midway through, just a little past midway through the 1 additional minute of stoppage time at the end of this first half, and Forest are going to end the half on the front foot with a free kick that Murillo's going to come forward to take. Spots the ball down. So Yates waiting on the edge of the penalty area, and it comes from Murillo. It's a long diagonal ball. Brighton get this clear. The half-time whistle will blow. They haven't got it away. Yates poking it back through the box. And Estupinian watches that out of play for a goal kick, and that is half-time. And it's been 45 minutes in which neither side have really been able to lay a glove on the other. Nottingham Forest much the better team for the opening 25 minutes. But it's Carlos Belieber that's come closer than anybody to be able to break the deadlock with that vicious effort right on 45 minutes. Wanyi trying to get on the end of Perceptive crossing from Gibbs-White at the other end, probably the closest that Nottingham Forest have come. And I think Nuno, whilst he'll be pleased with so many aspects of the play, will be disappointed that there's been absolutely no potency at all. 3-0 to Forest when the sides last met at half-time. Well, half-time tonight, Stu, it's 0-0 and broadly chanceless.
Yeah, very few chances in the game, you would say. On run of play, Forest have probably, certainly on away field advantage, have probably, I wouldn't say dominated, but been the better of the two sides. But it's looking all over a game that one goal might decide it.
Half-time then here at the Amex. It's Brighton 0, Nottingham Forest 0. Jace? Jason, thank you. Well, Brighton first down for the second half. And a nice moment actually as Ayari comes on and embraces Anthony Elanga, two international teammates with Sweden. Elanga, who's been warming up quite vigorously during the half-time interval, but he's not coming on at this stage for Nottingham Forest. Brighton lining up Verbruggen in goal, Hinchwood, Van Acker, Webster and Estupinian, Baliba and Ayari, Minte, Ruter and Mitoma, and Welbeck. Their subs: Dunk, Gruder, Joao Pedro, Adingra, Cashin, Gomez, O'Reilly, Tasker and McGill. Nottingham Forest, Sells in goal, Aina Milenkovic, Murillo and Williams, Yates and Danilo, Dominguez, Gibbs-White and Anderson, and Awonyi. And the Nottingham Forest subs: Morato, Sangare, Hudson-Odoi, Toffolo, Alex Moreno, Jota Silva, Alanga and Bolly. And the substitute goalkeeper is Carlos Miguel. But again, Alanga having warmed up for the last 6-7 minutes or so, just putting a yellow bib on and making his way down the touchline now. So it might not be long before he's called upon by Nuno. Peter Banks is the referee. Nobody in the book so far, nobody on the score sheet either. We're just waiting for the signal to get the game back underway. Brighton defending the south stand here at the Amex. Forest kicking towards their own fans from left to right. Now the ball played back for Verbruggen as we restart. And it's cleared by Murillo. A long punt forward over halfway. Awonyi is flagged offside. And it's a free kick which will be taken by Brighton. Well, when the two sides met 8 weeks ago, it was Forest's biggest win in 34 years. Brighton's heaviest defeat for 67 years. And it's their first ever FA Cup meeting, although Forest did knock Brighton out the League Cup back in 1986 when Franz Carr got a couple, but I'm reliably informed the best goal of the night was a Stuart Pearce penalty. Brighton on the front foot here with Ayari, and they've won a corner in the opening 45 seconds of the second half. Here's the man himself.
Yeah, you can't beat a Stuart Pearce penalty, so they say. Yeah, we need a bit of energy and drive into this game, Jim, without a doubt. This is a fantastic opportunity for both of these teams to advance in the Cup. Semi-final waiting for either, and it'll be a missed opportunity for the loser today, I can assure you that.
So Brighton to take the corner. Away to our left-hand side. Only one in the first half, one in the first minute of the second half. Peter Banks keeping an eye on all the pushing and shoving that's going on in front of Sells. And when he heads away at the near post, it comes back out for Mitoma. Ball in from Ayari, who makes his way inside the penalty area. Ruta does well. He got a shot in on the turn that just clears the bar. And it looks as though it's just going to be laid back. Perfect setup for Ayari on his right boot. Everybody anticipating that, few anticipating the breathtaking speed of the turn from Ruta. But the angle was difficult, and as he fires it in, it's just cleared the bar.
Yeah, set plays have been really, really poor for both teams, in my opinion, so far. But on that occasion, on a secondary that come in, Ruta just got a lovely swivel on and unloaded his shot. It just probably about a foot too high from going directly above the goalkeeper and in the net.
They've scored 3 goals in the FA Cup this season. Jorginho Ruta, 2 at Norwich in the third round. 1 against Chelsea in round 4. It's Milenkovic. There's it back to his goalkeeper. And Sells with the long clearance that goes over Baliba. It doesn't clear Hinchwood though. He just nods it forward looking for Ruta. Milenkovic is there again. And sweeps it forward into Brighton territory where it's returned with a little bit of interest by Van Acker. Williams can bring it down. And now Forest will be able to build again over on the far touchline with Morgan Gibbs-White. Four through the midfield from him to Yates. Now back for Murillo, whose international debut was actually curtailed at 45 minutes the other night for Brazil against Argentina. And there's a good ball forward here, throwing to find Taro Awonyi. Comes outside the penalty area. Right-footed effort from Gibbs-White, and that was close as well. Needed a little fingertip over the bar from Verbruggen. Might have cleared the bar anyway. Verbruggen using his full frame to climb high and not taking any chances, just gave it a helping hand. Out of play for a corner.
Yeah, really good setup there. Nico Williams looking to get his shot away. Couldn't get the angle, helped it on. And Gibbs-White unloaded one. And I think that was dipping very, very late. It was a very good save.
So Forest's fifth corner and their first of this second half. In front of the Nottingham Forest supporters. Elliot Anderson raises both arms above his head. Right-footed, he swings it in very deep. Gibbs-White trying to get his head to it. It just cannoned back out towards the right-hand side of the box. Stupinian. Three Forest players on him really quickly to put the pressure on. And he got it away. Now Gibbs-White trying to get the better of Ayari. Clever back heel flick down the line. Ryan Yates is on that. Gets to the byline, pulls it back. Right-footed acrobatic attempt from Anderson, who's such a high tariff chance and no chance. And then Brighton clearing Milenkovic again renews his acquaintance in a foot race against Minte, and again had enough of a head start against the quicker player to be able to deal with it. The Forest working themselves brilliantly into a good position down the right-hand side of the box. A fantastic touch from Gibbs-White, not such a good cross from Yates.
Yeah, I'm not sure how long this game will go on before either manager looks to ring the changes and create a little bit more goal malfaction at each end, Jim. What I would say is, you know full well if anyone concedes a goal, that will spring them into making changes very quickly.
Yeah, Forest with a really good record in that regard. They've only conceded first in 8 of their last 33 games in all competitions. Brighton get it forward here with Matoma. Matoma on the left-hand side of the area. Sells comes out, just pats the ball into the ground and picks it up at the second attempt and then gets it out really quickly. Gibbs-White chasing after it. Van Hecker sweeps up. Good tempo about the game now. It just faded away in the last 15 minutes of the first half, but much more watchable again since the resumption. Van Hecker works the ball back towards Webster. Webster's ball forward, Anderson winning it back in the midfield, and then Yates puts his hands out to tell Aina that he'll take control and then gives him a horrible pass to try and deal with, which goes straight out of play for a throw that will be taken on the Brighton and Hove Albion left.
Yeah, just prior to that poor pass from Yates, I've got to say Anderson done extremely well, reads the game well and just steps in front of opponents and just takes the ball off them, stops attacks.
6 minutes into the second half here on Talk Sport and across North America on Sirius XM FC. Hinshelwood out of the Brighton right-hand side, still 0-0. Minte trying to get himself into a position to cross. The block comes from Nico Williams, who then falls to the ground and he's won a free kick. There's an angry reaction from the Brighton bench. Hertzler straight in the ear of the fourth official, Thomas Bramall, about that. Nuno, meanwhile, in dialogue with the assistant referee, James Mannering, right in front of us. Remember, both of the head coaches were sent off when the two sides met here earlier this season. No real sense yet that it's just simmering beneath the surface, although Hertzler, as he makes his way back to his seat now, is shaking his head and chuntering away to himself.
Yeah, I think he's got a case, actually. I think Williams done quite well covering the run, but then just sort of spread-eagled himself on top of the ball. I don't think there was a free kick there in any way, shape or form. The referee took the easy option and thought to himself, well, I better start with a free kick, otherwise the player's lying on top of the ball and anything could happen.
Well, Paul Tierney's the VAR, but didn't decide that there was a case to answer. Ball goes back for Sells. Long clearance from him. Down to Ola Aina. And headed out of play past Dominguez for a throw that will be taken by Nottingham Forest on this near touchline. Might be Forest who blink first in terms of making changes. Seems to be just a little bit more action on their bench at the moment. Here's Anderson. Anderson plays the ball down towards the right-hand side for Aina. Aina turning back inside and then just got caught by Stupinian. He laid the ball off. Gibbs White flicks out a left foot to try and keep it under control. Milenkovic forced to go back to his goalkeeper. Not a long, booming clearance from the Belgian. Now Wanye clearly shoving Van Hekke to the ground. Referee says play on though. Ball chipped over the top here. Van Hekke waiting for his goalkeeper to come out and deal with it. And now the inquest starts. The ball is in the hands of the Brighton goalkeeper, and the referee's got his hands outstretched to show that he's playing an advantage, that he has seen an infringement, but I don't think he saw the first one or let it pass.
To be fair, Van Hecke's gone down very cheaply a couple of times in the first half. He's not dominated his opponent, and Iwanyi's picked up on that and said, I'll tell you what, if you're not going to head the first ball, I'm going to put you on your backside, and just ragdolled him.
Now a ball play forward towards Awonyi, and the flag stays down for now. Now it comes up, and rightly so. I think it was probably 2 or 3 yards offside when it was initially played forward. Bright can bring it away with Webster. Still a big white bandage around his left wrist. Matoma. It's moving away from us. Aina with the challenge. He caught him, and it's going to be a free kick to Brighton. 10, 11 yards outside the penalty area. Very much left of centre. And Aina helps Matoma back to his feet. The free kick here for Brighton and Hove Albion as they look to take the lead 10 minutes into the second half.
Yeah, much more energy this half so far from Brighton. They're on the front foot a little bit more. And on the quick turnover there, Matoma's driving at his full-back much better. Crowd responding in kind, I think, Jim.
Absolutely. Finding their voice. We talked earlier about the fact that this has been a fixture that's been a high-scoring one in the recent past. I mean, 11 goals in the 2 games between them this season, but still 0-0, 10 minutes into the second half here. Ayari standing over this, right-footed in-swinging clip. Van Hekke coming to meet it, and his header hit Yates and then goes out of play for another corner.
Well, I think they got very, very fortunate there, Forrest. The ball was floated fantastically well. Lacey's ball just held it up on the diagonal, and Van Hekke coming in at the far post just headed it. Fortunately for Forrest, Yates covered his run and just got his head in the way, albeit it was facing the wrong direction.
Stupinian will go out to take the corner. Over on the Brighton right. Webster stands by the penalty spot, and Danilo's keeping an eye on him, but he's a good 3-4 yards away. In from Stupinian. Quite a flat delivery, and the header is wide from Hinshelwood.
Hinshelwood there at the far... Sorry, Jim, I got a mouthful of cookie. Hinshelwood there at the far post. Fantastic movement, just peeled off from the far post. Craned his neck and just couldn't get enough on it to steer it in the far post, and I'll get back to my cookie.
Yeah, you do that. Forest are going to make a double change in a moment, and it is Hudson-Odoi and Alanga that will be coming on. So I don't know whether it's a sort of a premeditated, we'll bring them on after an hour or so. Looks that way with play 57. Alanga's still not ready to come on if the ball goes out of play now, and it is going to be a double change. Murillo getting it forward. Van Hekke heads it away. Webster, 15-20 yards outside the penalty area, comes forward towards halfway. Hits the low ball along the deck towards Stupinian. Square from him for Matoma. At the Purvis to Stupinian again. Ecuadorian international working it back through the midfield. Ayari, Matoma just too far ahead of Ruta. Williams had to be alive on the cover to sweep it away from Minte inside the penalty area and out for a Brighton throw. And they try to turn the screw here, the Seagulls. Down by the corner flag. Throw taken quickly. Work back through the midfield to a Stupinian. Ball just emerged into his view from behind the referee for a moment. Aina gets it clear and out of play for another Brighton throw. In fact, Webster's kept it in and just nodded it on the left-hand touchline. And Brighton will be able to build again. They're forced back by Awonyi's pressure. Back towards Webster. And Webster goes back for Van Eyck. It's still Elanga and Hudson-Odoi are waiting for the signal to come on. It's imminent. Mitoma on the Brighton left, running towards the edge of the penalty area. Shown inside, away from Nico Dominguez. Can't get himself into a shooting position, just overran it, but he can lay it out towards Minter. Clipped in towards Ruta, headed away by Milenkovic. Comes back outside the penalty area again for Belieber, and it's a handball. And a free kick to Forest, after Belieber in controlling that just used his upper arm.
Well, this game's changed now, certainly, since half-time. Brighton have been the stronger side that have got forward, passed the ball better, been more on the front foot, and Forest and Nuno is obviously seeing the danger signs there, and the two subs coming on, the speed machines are coming on now.
Yep. Hudson-Odoi and Elanga, the men that will be introduced. I wonder whether Dominguez will be one of the players that comes off. It's going to be interesting to see how things are shuffled around. Anderson is being called over here, but his number isn't up. I think he's just getting revised instructions from the Forest medical staff, or is he going to be replaced?
Is it a Ramadan break now, Jim? Did I hear earlier?
Yeah, night falling. It is expected to be the last night of Ramadan, and as a consequence, at this stage, players just getting refreshments on board, and that does allow Nuno the opportunity to call his players over, and it's for Brighton as well, and just give a few instructions. So you're anticipating a drastic change as far as Forest are concerned here. It certainly gives something for Brighton to think about, that they haven't had to worry about that pace on the counter-attack.
Yeah, the real pace. I think there's been, they've had a semi-problem in the first half with Iwanyi and Gibbs-White retaining the ball and putting them under threat, but now some more energy in the width as well, maybe even up front.
Let's get a full time from the Women's Six Nations Rugby with Lisa O'Sullivan.
It's finished Wales 12, England 67, and a magnificent atmosphere as England played at the Principality Stadium for the first time, running in 11 tries. A hat-trick for Ellie Kildunn on her 50th appearance for her country, and 2 for Abby Burton on her England debut. Not bad for someone who had to learn to walk and talk again after being in a coma, having developed a rare autoimmune condition. A highly watchable match, plenty of positives for Wales, but England showing why they are the best in the world. Final score at the Principality Stadium, Wales 12, England 67.
Thank you, Lisa. Forest have made the double change. Danilo off, and Tyro Awanyi is off as well. So it looks as though Alanga's going to go through the middle, with Gibbs-White on the right and Hudson-Odoi on the left. That's how Forest are certainly lining up for now. Yates standing, and the target for a long diagonal ball forward here from Sells. He's made his way out towards the right-hand touchline. But when Forest had the joy against Brighton earlier this season, they played 3-5-2, and they played with Anthony Elanga alongside Chris Wood through the middle as one of the two. And Elanga is reprising a similar role here by the look of it. 17 gone in the second half. Free kick to Nottingham Forest after Estupinian dived in. As Peter Banks going to reach for his card here, it's Dominguez that is down in a heap just on the edge of the penalty area. Estupinian, the Brighton player that's going to be spoken to, and it is a yellow card, the first of the day.
Yeah, all the things you pointed out earlier, the goals, the sending-offs, the penalties, everything, we haven't seen any of them, so it's good to see a yellow card. Maybe the influx has started, Jim.
Yeah, I'm glad I tempted fate by saying historically what a good fixture this had been. There's so much intrigue, so much resting on it. Nottingham Forest, 34 years since they last reached an FA Cup semi-final. Brighton with a genuine chance of winning the FA Cup like Nottingham Forest this season. For Brighton, it'll be the first time in their history. Elanga stands over this free kick. By the time the ball has been spotted down, it is 3-4 yards away from the edge of the penalty area. It's halfway between the right-hand side of the box and the right-hand touchline. Could be a big moment, this. Set-piece deliveries haven't been great from either side in the game so far. Elanga stands, waiting for the signal. Now it's forthcoming, ball in just too high for Gibbs-White. It dipped, not quite to him in time. Then Yates goes down inside the penalty area, and the referee shakes his head. Ball with Anderson on the right-hand side of the box. He's twisted past his man. Then he goes down and challenges from Mitoma. And again, the referee this time has pointed to the spot. And it's a penalty to Nottingham Forest. Peter Banks gave himself some thinking time. Anderson fouled by Mitoma. And it's a penalty to Forest.
Well, Yates went down ludicrously cheaply just prior to that. And then when Anderson has just swivelled on the touchline, gone straight down the touchline, Mitoma recovering, and his trailing left arm has just taken the foot of Anderson. And I think that was, if anything, if they're looking for a confirmation, that's what it will be. Not his leg, the initial challenge, his arm.
So Peter Banks has given the penalty on field. He's now come over to the assistant referee, James Mannering, and has had a word with him. It's all being checked as well by VAR Paul Tierney. And Mitoma has got a look of incredulity across his face. And he's giving the referee an action replay of what happened. We have a look at one on our monitor here. And certainly doesn't appear to be any contact from the leg of Mitoma on Anderson. Well, as you say, was it just felled by the arm? Well, the referee has been called over to the monitor, and he will have a look for himself. So that suggests that Paul Tierney, the VAR, thinks that there is more than a significant element of doubt here, Stuart Pearce.
Yeah, well, certainly that looks the case. As I say, he's lunged in as Anderson's gone down the touchline. He's lunged in, but his feet have not made contact. The contact has come from his left arm that is in a natural position that has just caught the foot of Anderson. And you might turn around and say, well, whether it's your foot or whether it's your arm, that's a penalty. You know what? It's a really difficult one. Horrible one to give away to go against you. But his arm has hooked his leg away.
Yeah, you've described it perfectly. Mitoma has slid in. He's got past the ball after Anderson stopped. And as he's gone, he's put his left arm down to offer support for his fall. And in doing so, with his left elbow, he's clipped the right foot. What's the decision going to be? The referee says no penalty. And I'm amazed. And the reason I'm amazed is that he feels that there is a significant error. I don't think it is a significant error either way.
I've got to say, if I was refereeing this game, I would have kept the penalty in place, because his arm has dragged Anderson's right leg. That will be interesting. And Nuno will not be happy with that after the game.
Oh, and it's inevitably, there's angry words being exchanged between the Nottingham Forest coaching staff and Fabio Herzler. Now, Nuno put two fingers up, claiming that there should be two penalties given. You understand what I mean, that there were two penalty offences. The first one clearly wasn't. It was a dive by Yates. The second one, I think he's got a case. And I think that Anderson has gone down easily, but I don't see that it is a clear and obvious error when you can tell that contact was made by the elbow of Mitoma on the foot of Anderson. I don't see how that can be overturned.
Yeah,
I can totally understand if he wasn't given in the first place that it then wouldn't be given for that, but I don't see how it can be overturned.
Yeah, the only thing I would say, Jim, on mitigating circumstances on this, and I've no idea, but if it would have been an even lighter touch with the player's foot, I think the penalty would have stood. The fact it was a trailing elbow that had the contact, that shouldn't make any difference whatsoever. I'm quite surprised. I think he should have stood.
Well, that's a massive moment of controversy. I suppose with these two, it's inevitable there was going to be one somewhere.
Yeah, maybe the game needed that, Jim, I think.
No, we're midway through the second half and it is still 0-0. And Nuno just stood motionless and he was looking up at the fans with his hands outstretched as if to say, I can't believe what I've just seen there. Heine works the ball back for his goalkeeper and Sells clear. So still 0-0 here on TalkSport and Sirius XMFC in North America. Hinshelwood heading the ball away. Ball brought down by Gibbs-White. Williams comes to meet it. Welbeck, he's lost out. And Forest survivor, a handball shout. Brighton winning back over on the far touchline with Hinshelwood. They're kicking from right to left in their blue and white striped shirts. Night falling here on the Sussex coast. And the floodlights really bright and piercing. Joao Pedro is going to be coming on in a moment for Brighton and Hove Albion with 20 minutes or maybe 50 left to play. Yates trying to get the ball away. Dominguez wins it back. Elanga with a poor pass. Gibbs-White has done well to make anything of it. Then Dominguez is on that, and Gibbs-White, having been fouled on halfway, sees the free kick given his way when the advantage might have worked quite well, because Dominguez had played a really clever ball down the inside right channel for Elanga's run. So Brighton are going to be bringing Joao Pedro on, and the Dingra is going to be coming on in a moment as well. So double change for Brighton is imminent. Forest in possession over on the far touchline with Williams. 68 minutes gone. Brighton 0, Nottingham Forest 0. Forest working it forward here. Dominguez onside, and he couldn't get any purchase on a little flick as the ball came past him. His run was brilliant. Third man run past Van Hecker. And had he got any contact on that, he surely would have steered it past Verbruggen for 1-0 Forest.
Yeah, I think the pass was intended for Hudson-Odoi, but all the same, should have done a lot better with his first control.
Ayari. No foul on Baliba. Ruta. Out towards the right-hand side for Yakuba Minte. His chip inside the penalty area, headed away by Aina, awkwardly. It's kind of the side of his head, really, and goes through the penalty area rather than outside the box. And Minte's done brilliantly getting past his man. He's inside the penalty area. Forced away cleverly by Anderson, who then wins the free kick.
Touched on Anderson earlier, stepping in front of players and just dealing with danger. He done brilliantly there. He's in his box, he can't make it a rash challenge, and he just stepped across the face of Minter and took it off him.
To our left-hand side, I've just seen a vision of a very animated Brighton fan who's stood up, and he's got a big blue and white striped jacket on. He's got paisley trousers that come out of the 70s, and he's got a Pearly Kings cap on. His jacket is such that, see, in Brighton colours, but it does look as though it's a cross between one of the deck chairs off Hove Beach and a Tesco's bag. But he's enjoying his night.
I was just going to say to you which one you're talking about, but there's no need for that. I've just caught sight. Fair play to him. He's come. He's supported his team,
and he's won his bet as well. No closer to knowing who's going to be winning this one.
I think both teams now have flinched and made their changes that they hope are going to get them over the line.
Dingra for Mitoma, Joao Pedro for Welbeck. Joao Pedro scored 6 goals in his last 5 FA Cup ties and comes into this game in decent form with 3 in his last 4 Premier League games as well. And Simon Adingra, the Ivorian, who scored in all 3 League Cup ties that Brighton played earlier this season. So he's playing on the left in Mitoma's role. Joao Pedro up through the middle, replacing Danny Welbeck in a straight swap. Forest have the ball at the back with Sells, and he drives it forward. Aina couldn't flick it on. He's just headed it back through the midfield, and it fell Ayari's way for a moment. Estupinian wins an aerial battle. Ball brought down though by Anderson. Anderson can get it forward here for Gibbs-White. Good ball forward in Elanga, past the goalkeeper, not quite. Excellent save from Verbruggen, off his line really quickly. Well, that's Elanga's first sight of goal since coming on.
Yeah, it is. The cutting edges there now. Anderson turning it over, feeding Gibbs-White. His through ball, brilliant. And I've got to say, Verbruggen was out, spreading himself really well.
Meanwhile, before the corner can be taken, people are keeping an eye on Jorginho Ruta, who went down inside the centre circle, and Murillo was concerned for him. He called the referee over. Murillo helped Ruta back to his feet, Now the referee turned his back and Ruta went straight back down again and is in need of a little bit of treatment here.
Yeah, just looking at the replay of that, and it looks as though he might well have to come off. The replay slid in and just rolled his ankle, I think.
Always an inevitability that kind of thing happens when you've just made a change as well, because they could have left Danny Welbeck on and brought Joao Pedro on in Rute's role. Potentially the other unused subs for Brighton at the moment, Dunk and Gruder, Cashin and Gomez, O'Reilly. He might be the most likely man to come on. And the young centre-half Charlie Tasker. And Forest can still call upon Morato and Sangare, Toffolo, Alex Moreno, Jota Silva and Bolly. Palace already through, Brighton hoping to join them, Forest with more than something to say about it. Preston against Villa kicks off at 1:30 tomorrow, the third quarter-final, and the last one will be Bournemouth against Manchester City. You'll hear that from 4:30. Both of those games tomorrow here on TalkSport and on Sirius XM FC as well, and you won't hear them anywhere else on national radio. Ruta still receiving his treatment. He's back on his field, but he's on his feet, but he's clearly got pain etched across his face, and he's not going to be in a position to continue. And so we're going to see Brian Gruder come on. Gruder, who's made 5 Premier League starts since his £25 million move from Mainz. 4 goals in the Bundesliga this season, but still waiting for his first for Albion. And Gruder will be on to replace Ruta, who is making his way off the field, but only with assistance. He's got Brighton medical staff either side of him, and he can't put any weight at all on his right ankle as he makes his way off. He raises his right hand to acknowledge the standing ovation he's getting as he leaves the field, but he's in a lot of distress. Ruta off, Gruder on. So Forest with a corner. 15 minutes of normal time to go. There's going to be a lot of stoppage time already to be added on at the end of this second half, and maybe extra time, and who knows, maybe penalties as well. In comes the Forest corner from Elanga, just too deep for Anderson at the far post. The script was written for Anderson to head that back across the 6, but he couldn't get to it. It's out of play for a goal kick. 75 gone, Brighton 0, Forest 0, and here's the former England captain Stuart Pearce.
Yeah, in games like this, Jim, it's often a set play that may decide it or switch the balance of play in one direction or other, but at the moment none of the set plays from either team are actually threatening in any way, shape or form.
Webster allowed to travel with the ball, clips it forward, Aina heads it away. Joao Pedro will be able to pick it up, and then Yates clears. That's taking a deflection as it spins high up through the midfield. Play goes on despite the fact there's a Brighton man down. Gruder trying to make a favourable first impression, but the ball was cleared by Yates. It then hits Gibbs White and goes out to the left-hand side for Hudson-Odoi. Ball down the line from him. Here's Elanga running at Van Hecker. He's got 2 in the middle. Gibbs White at breakneck speed slides in, and he's hurt himself because he's collided with the post as he went for the ball, and that's just hit underneath his right knee, and that's a sore one as well. And he too is going to be in need of a treatment potentially. Yeah,
there's real fire in this counter-attack threat there. And the ball played across the face of goal. It was in a dangerous area, but Elanga's got to wait slightly. I think that's come off of Van Hecker's knee. Should have been a corner. Referee didn't pick up on that one, but he's really got to wait and delay that for his teammates to arrive in the box.
Now, Gibbs White is okay. He's not moving with a great degree of ease, and he's just leaning over now, and just giving that troublesome knee a rub. And Milenkovic has been caught there by Joao Pedro, and that's going to be a free kick to Nottingham Forest. It's been quite stop-start this second half. If you're just joining us, very controversial moment. There's a penalty was given Forest's way for a foul by Mitoma on Anderson, but overruled by the referee at the advice of the VAR. Nuno certainly didn't think it was the right decision, and you might say, well, he wouldn't, would he? I do think he may well have had the case that it wasn't a clear and obvious error, the initial decision to give a penalty. And that's one of the talking points. Jason Cundy alongside Bayo Akinfenwa taking your calls after the game on 717 22 33 on the sports bar. Ball play forward by Anderson. Here's Alanga again. Right hand side of the penalty area. 13 to go, normal time. He skipped round the challenge of Webster. And then it's come off the toes of his right boot and gone straight out of play for a goal kick.
Yeah, he nailed Webster there right on the edge of the box, and as he come into the box, he's dancing feet. I thought I'll tell you what, he done well from Webster's point of view to stay on his feet there.
Yeah, had he gone down, it might potentially have been a decision to make. Gomez is going to be coming on for Brighton in a moment. A Paraguayan international who has come off the bench in 4 of the last 5 Premier League matches. They signed for £11 million from Inter Miami. Brighton bringing the ball forward away to our left. Joao Pedro's got it. Deadlock still to be broken. Here at the Amex, it's 0-0. Ball cleared down the Nottingham Forest left-hand side by Williams. Not as far as Brian Gruder. And he's just run out of room under pressure from Anderson, who's played really well tonight. It's going to be a throw that will be taken by Nottingham Forest over on the far side. So tactically, what do the coaches need to do to get things to work in their favour in the 12 minutes that remain, Stu?
Well, I think it's fair to say the final pass from both teams needs to be slightly improved upon. Certainly to our right-hand side, Forest have had good opportunities. The last one being Alanga sliding the ball across the face of goal. You've got to wait for your teammate to get there, and it's just that little bit of quality in advanced areas from both.
Gruder's done really well to win the ball back from Williams, but as he tried to find Joao Pedro, Forest could clear easily. And Hinshelwood runs after that clearance. Fields it after it bounces over the touchline, takes a throw immediately back for Verbruggen. And Brighton try to elicit as many seconds as possible of playing time before this goes to extra time. We feel that although they've had what we think might have been a let-off with the penalty call, well, they've been the better side. So here comes the latest change, and Gomez is going to be coming on to replace Ayari. Ayari will replace Gomez in the Brighton side that drew at Manchester City, or from the Brighton side that drew at Manchester City, I should say. One of 2 changes in the starting lineup today made by Fabian Hürzeler. Stupinian taking this throw. And it's come off the top of Yates's head. Gomez then heads one straight back over Yates, who's crumpled to the ground. There didn't appear to be an awful lot in that, but a free kick has been given Forest's way just outside the box. 10 to go, 0-0. And still, the night's defining moment lies ahead of us here on TalkSport. So much at stake, bearing in mind the recent FA Cup histories of these 2 clubs. And I think that's what's made the competition so fascinating this season. Look how you got Manchester City, who've been perennial winners of the FA Cup in Pep's era. Well, even then, I think they've only won it twice actually since Pep came to the club. They've had a few successes in the 21st century, but other than that, nobody that's left in it has won it since Forest won it in 1959. Second triumph that they had. They're first back in the last years of the 19th century. They've reached 1 FA Cup final since. Brighton just the 1 FA Cup final to their name as well. So this matters. This matters a lot. Iona to take a throw for Forest, 0-0. In towards Morgan Gibbs-White. Pokes it back towards Murillo. Murillo's given it away with a sloppy ball that went straight to Odingra, and he's had his ankles caught by Ryan Yates. A free kick to Brighton.
Yeah, the referee getting pelters there for giving a free kick in Brighton's favour, but I've got to say the players, quite a few of them actually, crumpling to the ground rather cheaply. I don't think it's a part of the game I overly enjoyed you.
They're making it difficult for the referee to do his job.
Well, exactly that.
Van Aken. Getting the ball forward towards Gruder, who can take it on the turn and go out towards the right-hand touchline. He then checks, passes it back for Hinshelwood. And Hinshelwood making his way slowly towards the bottom right-hand corner of the Forest box. Back out for Gruder again. Waves his left boot over the top of the ball. Anderson forces him away from the edge of the penalty area. Ball goes back towards Webster. And as it's laid forward there towards Hinchelwood, he knew he was offside. He was forced to let the ball run. Williams was hoping he could shepherd it out of play for a goal kick. Didn't have the legs to get there, so he eventually played it forward long. He's looking for Elanga with the long ball forward over the top. He's had that one chance where he came through and Verbruggen made the save, but other than that, haven't really been able to get either Langer or Hudson-Odoi into the game too much since making that double change. Forrest work it forward here for Einer's run. But it's gone past him and out of play for a throw taken by Adingra from the wrong position. So Cole's going to have to restart that little bit deeper. Reiner throws the ball back very deliberately to where it almost went out of play over away to our right-hand side. 7 to go at 0-0.
Yeah, well, I think both teams have made the substitutions that they think are going to win the game. So it's a case of whatever we got on the pitch now is here to win the game. And the longer it goes on, Jim, the less chance we look as though we got a breaking deadlock at present. And both teams very shortly will be saying, well, we'll take extra time, see where it takes us.
Well, it's brought them both to this stage of the competition. Brighton needed extra time to see off Newcastle at St James's in round 5. Forest taking the penalties in rounds 4 and 5. Brighton on the front foot here. An opportunity for Minte to deliver, and he hit the nearest Forest player, and he doesn't make that same mistake a second time because he's overcompensated by whacking it 20 yards past everybody. And straight out of play for a goal kick that'll be taken by Sells away to our left. 6 to go.
Yeah, certainly Minte and obviously Matoma, who was taken off earlier. Just expecting a bigger threat from them in the game, Jim. You know, and I haven't seen enough of it.
Sells just being given the hurry up by the referee here. He prepares to take this goal kick. I mean, Forest might be the happier of the two if it goes to penalties because they've got that experience of winning 2 shootouts in the FA Cup already in 2025. Joao Pedro, that's a good bad one from him. He sliced it and it fell straight to his right hand side for Minte. Now back out for Joao Pedro again. Roll down the right hand side of the area for Gruder. Gruder trying to take on Williams, gets towards the byline, pulls it back. Opportunity for a shot, just doesn't quite break Gomez's way. And Forrest will clear and Elanga will chase after it. And Webster did well to deal with another horrible bounce. It just sat up on him a little bit awkwardly. But he could work it back for his goalkeeper. Gets it out again now to Purvis Estupiñán. Very quickly Brighton back in Forest territory. Gomez stabbing the ball past Yates, who looks as though he's struggling with a groin problem right now. And Aina shepherding the ball away down by his own dead ball line has successfully played the ball off Adingra and out of play for a goal kick. 4.5 to go. I reckon there's going to be 5 or 6 minutes added on at the very least, so still 10 minutes probably of playing time for either side to get this done without the need for extras.
Yeah, that's certainly the case, and you get the impression every time there's a counter-attack, each team believe, look, if we get that goal now, that will get us over the line. And they'll probably be right.
Yeah, it does have the feel of a first goal wins game. And in that context, I suppose it makes that penalty decision to overturn the original on-field decision of a penalty to Forest even more significant. Just joining us, it was a Mitoma foul with his elbow on Anderson, which took the foot of the Forest player away from him inside the penalty area. That's hard to visualise. I understand where you're coming from, but that was what happened. The referee, having originally given the penalty, then had a look at it and reversed his original decision. Webster getting the ball forward here for Van Acker. 87 gone, 0-0. Gruder, now Hinchelwood. Now to the Brighton right-hand side again. Good run forward from Hinchelwood, but the pass wasn't good enough to find him. And Hudson-Odoi has got it over on the far touchline. He's hoping that he's going to be able to resurrect his international career. One of the youngest all-time England internationals, but he's only won 2 caps since his debut. In a good form this season, and Dominguez is going to get a yellow card here for dissent. And once he realised that he was going to get a yellow card for dissent, wanted to make sure that the referee realised how angry he was, because he threw another arm up in his direction and gave him a few more choice words. Certainly didn't think that was a Brighton free kick. When it's taken, the referee says, I want it taken again. Which it has been now by Dario Gomez for Brighton. To Webster and down towards Stupinian. Long ball over the top from him. Milenkovic volleys it away. Out of play for a Brighton throw with 88 on the clock at 0-0.
Yeah, it's turned into a game of poker, this game now. All the chips are on the table, Jim, and we're just waiting for somebody to turn their cards over with a full house.
Insured. Now Pedro. Pedro's got it again towards the edge of the penalty area. So can't get any further. There's a strong challenge on him from Murillo. The former Corinthians centre-half can bring it forward, and then he's beaten João Pedro. Works it forward through the midfield for Gibbs-White, who Forest haven't been able to get into the game in the last 10 minutes at all. Brighton looking the more likely if either side's going to win it inside 90 minutes. Adingra out towards the right. João Pedro can't get across in. Williams sees to that and then does really well to win it back down by the corner flag. And Forest with Anderson can clear. Ball up the left-hand touchline for Callum Hudson-Odoi. He retraces his steps, goes all the way back to his goalkeeper. 4 from Sells. Out from Milenkovic. Into the feet of Ryan Yates. Forest with only one attacking option left on the bench now, and that's Jota Silva, who scored his first Premier League goal against the Albion last month for Portuguese international. Fourth official Thomas Bramall's got the numbers ball in his hand. We'll find out in a moment how many extra minutes are going to be added. Hudson-Odoi tries his luck from the edge of the box, and that's blocked. Played forward then by Milenkovic to Yates, to Aina, to Yates again on the turn. Aina comes into a more central midfield position, has got the ball. Works it past Anderson for Murillo. Hudson-Odoi poking out towards the left-hand touchline for Gibbs-White, who was concerned with where the ball was going next. So concerned he forgot to bring the ball under control in the first place. And it goes over the line and out of play for a Brighton and Hove Albion throw. How many extra minutes will it be? Sorry, Stu.
Yeah, good opportunity there to build something.
It's 8.
Yeah, plenty of time for a winner in that period of time, that is for sure.
Into the 8 additional minutes now, here on TalkSport, on the south coast, where Anderson drives forward through the midfield and was fouled. And Nottingham Forest have a free kick. 15 adrift from the edge of the penalty areas. The Geordie has his feet taken away from him by the challenge from Gomez. No doubt about that one.
No, certainly took him down, and as I say, once again it was Anderson driving forward past 2-3 players. Eventually got brought down. An opportunity now on the left-hand side, probably about 30 metres out, to put that ball into the box.
Come on, you Reds. The cry from the travelling supporters away to our right-hand side. We've got the perfect view of this from their position behind the goal at the south end of the ground. Ilanga running over it, little back heel flick from Anderson. Gibbs-White brings it forward. Milenkovic can't get there, and then was flicked in by Murillo at the far post. It bounces into the ground and straight into the hands of the goalkeeper. Well worked set piece, but Murillo just couldn't get hold of it at the far post. Aina then clears a long Brighton ball forward, and we go all the way back for Verbruggen again.
Yeah, really good opportunity there. I thought it was going to be Milenkovic getting on the end of it. He's missed it, and Murillo, who's behind him, just didn't get a good contact on.
Scored against Newcastle back in November. That remains his only senior goal in his career, which is nearly 100 games old now. Hardly missed one since signing for Forest. Baliba for Brighton. Little reverse ball on the edge of the penalty area. Adingra can't get the ball out from between his feet. Then Dominguez tries to bring it away, and a free kick is given his way. Had it not been, he might have talked his way into the book again. Then when Forest try and take the free kick quickly, Adingra stops that happening, and the Forest players go across to the referee and say that that should be a mandatory yellow card.
Yeah, as I say, I made the statement earlier about the players not making life easy for the referee, and that fiasco just then didn't help the situation.
Free kick taken by Salves. We're in the third minute of stoppage time, another 5.5 to play. Gibbs White working the ball back. Anderson trying to play it forward again for him. It's a second opportunity to play a constructive ball, and finds Callum Hudson-Odoi, who will dink in from the left-hand side. Right footed shot from Gibbs White from Dominguez from distance, and that's blocked. And then Milenkovic on halfway lays it back for Aina, very nearly caught in possession. Brighton with a great counter press, and Aina somehow managed to emerge past them all. Finds Dominguez on the Nottingham Forest right, back in towards Aina, gets to the byline, flash it across the face of the 6-yard box, and a header into the ground from Gibbs White is cleared. Second ball comes in from Williams and misses everybody, and goes out of play for a goal kick. All happening.
Lanya's done brilliantly there. He surged on, he took a chance in his own half, dribbling past 2-3 players. I thought, what are you trying to achieve? He's got beyond that, carried on his run, got to the byline. It took a bad bobble just in front of him off his foot, and the cross was probably a bit overhit, to be fair. Gibbs White kept it alive, and when it was driven back across, comedy ensued when Aina threw himself from off the pitch to on.
Yeah, trying to get a header back across the face of the goal from clearly what would have been an offside position. It looked like an eel jumping in back into deeper waters for a moment. And he's still down on his haunches. Meanwhile, Brighton have a player down inside their own penalty area with what might be a hamstring problem here for Webster.
Yeah, it certainly looks that way. Essentially Dunk warming up to our left-hand side now, and Webster holding the back of his hamstring there. Doesn't look good.
Well, this will just extend the stoppage time even further. 8 minutes already prescribed. We've had nearly 5 of them, and the medical staff still attending to Webster away to our right. Lewis Dunk warming up. He hasn't played for 7 weeks because of injury. He's had an abdominal problem most recently that's curtailed his involvement over the course of this season. He's only played in 20 games for Brighton. This is 16th season in the Albion first team. It's an extraordinary record. It now means that only 3 players in the club's history have made more appearances for the Seagulls than Lewis. If he comes on, it will be his 480th Brighton appearance and his 3rd in an FA Cup semi-final. He was in the teams beaten in 2019 and 2023, and should I say he will be hoping to book a 3rd FA Cup semi-final. He's played in the 2 previous quarter-finals. And still Webster down away to our right-hand side, receiving that treatment. Gives us a chance just to very quickly look at the 2 games tomorrow. Preston against Villa kicking off at 1:30. Bournemouth against Manchester City at 4:30. 2 more superb encounters. Preston and Villa both former winners of the Cup. Bournemouth have never won a major Cup quarter-final in their history, but taking on the illustrious Manchester City, who they've already beaten once at home this season. You won't hear that game anywhere else, only on national radio on TalkSport tomorrow. Brighton back in action, incidentally, Wednesday. They've got Villa here in the Premier League. That'll be our 350th live commentary of the season on the TalkSport network. 7:45 kickoff for Brighton against Villa on Wednesday night. Now, Webster's very slowly making his way off the field here, Stu.
Yeah, he's coming off the pitch. It looks, for all intents and purposes, there might be a substitute being made, and Lewis Dunk's gone and sat down, and doesn't look as though he's stripping off in any way, shape or form. So obviously he knows more than we do, and it looks as though he's coming back on again.
Well, I just wonder, just to have a look, whether they've used their 3 junctions. Yes, they have. They've used their 3 junctions to make changes. So Dunk could come on. If it goes to extra time, Dunk can come on then to replace Webster, because they'll get an additional change. But at the moment, he can't, because they made a double change with Joao Pedro and Adingra coming on, and then Gruder and Gomez both came on separately after that. So Webster making his way back on now. Stupinian is currently playing at centre-half. Belieber is in there as well. They've almost dropped into a back five at the moment whilst Forest had possession. And Webster is coming on pretty much as a passenger by the look of it. He's just trying to make life difficult for Aina in behind him. Forest meanwhile bring it forward with Anderson. Brighton will be able to get it clear. Dingra showed too much of it to Yates and then was a little bit overzealous with the second one as well. Aina can play it forward. Webster's back in his centre-half position now. Dominguez has got it. We've played the prescribed 8 minutes of added time, but probably another 2.5 minutes to go yet. Dominguez gets to the byline. Can he chip it in? Finds Yates on the edge of the box. Ryan Yates certainly didn't lack for power, but it didn't have the precision that he wanted. He's cut across the ball and sent it spinning past the top right-hand corner. 0-0 with 98 gone.
Yeah, Webster's gravitating sort of in and around the front of the back line at the moment. In my day, in old money, if you were injured and couldn't run around and we used all the subs, you used to go and play right wing. I don't know what that said about right wingers, actually, you know.
It's just to give you an easy ride, that's what it was.
Make your own of whatever you want. Maybe they were thinking he'll injure him anyway, so we just will put an injured one there already, see what he makes of it.
Brighton with Van Hecker work it back for their goalkeeper. And it's cleared right-footed. You hardly see that sort of thing anymore. I do remember a Premier League game probably 30 years ago at the Dell, the Southampton-Newcastle game, when Neil Maddison got injured for Southampton and they pushed him up front as an emergency striker. He couldn't move, but he still scored. And Southampton then equalised a minute later, and having been 2-0 down going into stoppage time, and nicked a draw. But you hardly see that sort of thing anymore. 9.5 minutes of stoppage time have been played. Probably another minute or so to go because of that injury to Webster. Forest on the front foot. Can either side get it done without the need for extra time? Hudson-Odoi trying to dance his way through the penalty area. Alanga is in close attendance as well. Set up for Gibbs-White on the edge of the box. He can get a shot in, but it's easily blocked. It was Gomez that got in the way. Forest will come forward again. Got the monopoly of possession at the moment, but there's too much on that for Gibbs-White. And Nuno turns away in dismay as the ball runs out of play for a goal kick that Verbruggen will take, and I would imagine he'll be in no hurry to take it because they need to get to the end of the 90 minutes so they can make the change and get Webster off. He's currently kind of playing in sort of central midfield at the moment to stay out of the way. Verbruggen right to our right hand side in front of the Forest fans, sends it forward right-footed. Headed down by Aina, returned by Stupinian. A high ball forward towards the edge of the penalty area. Williams decided to let it bounce. It's headed on by Adingra. Couldn't find Minte. Forest will clear, and then Alanga hoping he can judge the bounce more effectively than Belieber. But Belieber got to it, smacks it high up in the air. Milenkovic returns it with a header. Another header comes back from Gomez. Adingra trying to get goal side of Aina. He can't do so, and Nigerian shepherds the ball out of play for a throw that will be taken right in front of us on the Nottingham Forest right-hand side. In the 11th added minute, soon to go into the 12th. Brighton 0, Nottingham Forest 0. Can't be much more time, but still time for one last Forest attack by the look of it. Williams fall for Hudson-Odoi, and now the referee signals an end of the game. Now we've still got 30 minutes of extra time to come. Fabian Herzler in discussion with Andrew Crofts, one of the Brighton coaches, about how they might be able to turn things around here. I would imagine that Webster will come off now for Brighton and Dunk will come on. But 90 minutes hasn't been able to separate them, and we've got half an hour of extra time to come. Brighton and Hove Albion 0, Nottingham Forest 0. Yes, there has, thank you Jason. And it is Lewis Dunk on for Webster. They couldn't make the change in stoppage time at the end of the game because they had already used their 3 junctions for substitutions, but they can make the change now. So Lewis Dunk has the armband. He's on for his 480th Brighton and Hove Albion appearance, but they can't make any more from this point. They could have made a double there, but they can't make any more from this point on. So Brighton have played their hand. Forest have got 4 changes left that they can make. It's 0-0 as we prepare to start extra time.
And just for clarity with the listeners, Jim, if in those last 8 minutes or so, when Webster was injured and unable to take any part in the game but still be on the pitch, if he would have had a concussion injury, he could have come off then and Dunk could have come on?
Absolutely. If it had been a concussion injury, yeah.
So, something could have been manufactured. I'm just playing devil's advocate here.
So what you're saying is that when he picked himself up, having had his hamstring treatment, he should have wandered dazed into the post, smacked himself back down on the deck, and then it could have been a concussion change.
Well, for a man who didn't say anything, I seem to have said quite a bit just then, didn't I?
Yeah, well, you made a career out of that, and that's why we love you. It's going to be, after a little hiatus, Peter Banks coming over and speaking to the match manager and also the fourth official, we are in a position that we can get back underway. Yeah. Forest red shirts, white shorts, skiing from right to left. Brighton in their traditional blue and white striped shirts. They're kicking towards the south stand here at the Amex. We're in extra time then. Between the pair of them, this is the fourth cup tie that has gone to extra time this season. Forest beat Luton in the regulation 90 in round 3, but they've needed penalties to get past Exeter and Ipswich. Brighton hoping to do to Forest here what they did to Newcastle on Tyneside in round 5, and that's get the job done in extra time. Although the man that scored the winning goal then, Danny Welbeck, has gone off. Here is the man that replaced him, Joao Pedro, in front of us on the Brighton and Hove Albion right. Turning and then very neatly nutmegging Williams, but he couldn't find Gruder. Forrest have it with Alanga, running towards the edge of the penalty area, but he had very little in the way of support, so he had to hold it up and wait for Ola Aina to come forward to his right-hand side. 0-0 with 91 gone. Yates over on the far touchline wins a throw, which will be taken by Nottingham Forest midway inside the Brighton half.
Well, we come to the game today, Jim, and thought I can't split these teams. I wouldn't like to call this one, and we've watched 91 minutes or 101 minutes, let's say, with extra time, and I've still got absolutely no idea which team will win this.
I must admit, coming here today, and I know that Forest had such a resounding success in this fixture just 8 weeks ago, I did think that Brighton were the more likely winners through 90 minutes. Now, having seen the game progress, I agree with you. It's a coin toss from here on in. It's very, very hard to make a case for either of the sides getting it done without the need for penalties, and you probably would favour Forest if it goes to penalties simply because of the muscle memory of getting themselves through 2 shootouts already this year, although they did lose a shootout in the League Cup against Newcastle earlier this season. Here's Murillo taking the ball back inside his own half. Plays it back to Sells, who will drive it forward right-footed and straight over Gibbs White. It's been quite an attritional night so far.
Yeah, it has. As I say, Forest probably was slightly better side in the first half. Brighton come out in the second half, got on the front foot, more offensive with their play, but very little to choose over the 90-odd minutes between either side, with very few efforts that have really tested the goalkeepers.
Brighton got it with Van Ecker. Finding Lewis Dunk. Dunk spraying the ball forward. It was a difficult one for Adingra to be able to control, but he could do so and play it back for Dunk, and now to Van Ecker and down to the right-hand side for Minte. Minte through the midfield. Gruder coming forward, just nudges it off to his left-hand side, trying to bring Joao Pedro into it. Didn't quite come off, but he gets a second chance. And then Gomez inside the box. Can he get a shot in? He can't. And Milenkovic slides in the clear. It's on the edge of the 6-yard box, and Dominguez goes down and stays down inside his own penalty area, but just for a moment it looks as though it's going to open up for Dario Gomez.
Yeah, Milenkovic has stepped out the back line to go and deal with an issue just in front of the back 4, and in the space that he vacated, the Brighton runner straight into there, and the recovery from Dominguez got him out of a bit of trouble.
I mentioned that Brighton have made all of their changes. Forest could still bring on Morato, Sangare, Toffolo, Alex Moreno, Jota Silva and Willy Bolly. And Jota is going to be the next cab off the rank. He will be on very shortly. The right winger is a Portuguese international who has predominantly been used as a sub. He's come off the bench in about 3/4 of his Forest appearances so far. Brighton got it at the back with Dunk. And he nudges it forward towards halfway. Right-footed ball over the top, but not over the top of Milenkovic. And Minto was a willing runner, Stupinian, I beg your pardon, a willing runner for it. Forest winning back in the midfield. Yates getting it forward here for Gibbs-White. Now down towards Callum Hudson-Odoi. Running towards the edge of the penalty area. Hudson-Odoi checking, turning, away from trouble, setting it up for Dominguez. Dominguez rolling it forward. It's half cleared. Yates will take it on away from Adingra. Now Gibbs-White, right-hand side of the penalty area. He checks back, pulls the ball back for Ryan. A first-time ball in from him, and it's taken a defensive flick. And will go out of play for a throw, which will be taken on the Forest left-hand side by Williams. But only after Forest have made the change, Dominguez is coming off. He's been running on empty for a while. Jota is going to come on to replace him.
Yeah, as I say, change just about to be made. Probably that little knock that he received in the penalty box a couple of minutes ago has probably contributed to that. Fresh legs coming on.
So good ovation for Dominguez as he leaves the field. And Jota on for him. Player that they signed from Victoria Guimarães back in August for £10 million. And he goes on and takes his usual position on the right wing. Nottingham Forest with this throw, taken by Williams. Gets it back for Hudson-Odoi. Flipped off Gruder and out of play. And there'll be another throw that'll be taken on the Forest left. Play 5.5 minutes of extra time. Williams with the ball in his hands, just waiting to take the throw. We're talking about the elaborately dressed Brighton fan away to our left-hand side moments ago. He's come back with a hat on, of which more in a moment. The ball thrown in towards the near post. Van Hecker gets it away, headed further clear from Minte. And then Joao Pedro turns it clear, and Gruder's going to chase after that. And will continue to press as Murillo won it and got it back for Sells. Sells clears, long ball that Anderson is chasing after on the left, and it's kept in. But Hudson-Odoi wins it back. Hinchwood might wish that he didn't keep that in. Ball played across the edge of the penalty area, but Gibbs-White touches Paul, and Gruder again on the counter. He's got Gomez to his left, and Yates with a professional foul brings him down. Well, he knew the danger of that counter-attack was 3 against 2, and Hertzler again angry and complaining to his counterparts on the Forest bench. Yates knew exactly what he was doing there and gets a yellow card.
Yeah, as I say, the counter-attack was on in and around the circle, and Yates has just got back and hauled his man down. I honestly think that a yellow card is probably not suffice for a challenge like that that's so critical. I'm not sure it's a sending off, but certainly when sin bins come into football, Jim, that will be worth 10 minutes.
Yeah, that was an orange, but he knew exactly what he was doing. He also knew what the punishment would be, and consequently it was easy to work out that it was worth the risk. Now here's Gruder from the free kick, coming across the edge of the penalty area, shot in on the turn from Gomez is blocked. Stupinian takes it on, out of the left-hand side of the penalty area. High ball in towards Minte at the far post, didn't quite get there. It sailed onto the roof of the net and goes out of play for a goal kick. 8 minutes into extra time. Brighton 0, Nottingham Forest 0.
Yeah, we're on high jeopardy stakes at this moment in time. Just looking at Murillo, he was holding the top of his hip flexor earlier and just moving a little bit gingerly, I think, Jim. What do you think's your eye there?
Yes, every chance. And consequently, we might see Morato come on, because Murillo, who's only missed 1 out of the last 61 Premier League games, is a man that they will be desperate to have in place, fully fit for the game against Manchester United on Tuesday. So it'll be interesting to see if Morato comes on. 0-0. Played 98 minutes. Brighton in possession, working back towards Van Hecker. Van Hecker's 15 yards inside his own half, but able to come forward towards the halfway line before feeding Gruder. Gruder's been quite lively since coming on, but he's lost possession here to Williams. And Nico Williams, side footing one forward. Oh, Elanga might get there first. He's Come past Van Ecke to get there. He's inside the penalty area, but he can't get a shot in. Hudson-Odoi picks up the pieces on the left-hand side of the box. Back from him towards Elanga. Elanga onto his right foot. Deft little clip inside the box. Two Brighton players going for the same ball, and one of them has gone down. His dunk has gone down holding his face, and play has to stop. A mandatory stoppage because of the risk of a head injury.
Yeah, I think Dunk heard the rumour about you can go down with a concussion injury and extend your substitute bench, but he's not the one we wanted to do it, just to prove the point. But to be fair, if Dunk goes down with a smack on the edge, you know full well that he has not gone down cheaply. He's just caught a rogue elbow, I think. Yeah, from his own teammate.
Yeah, ran into a Stupinian, and that really was a slam for Dunk, who ends up on the deck. Now, we were talking about the Brighton found their way to our left-hand side in his blue and white striped jacket, so he's just been to use the facilities. He's come back with a big blue bowler hat on. Needless to say, it's got clearly a fake seagull taped to it. I say clearly, you're never quite sure. Well, I'm sure it is. But Paul the Painter, he's got his name on the back of his jacket. So details emerging all the time.
And well, I know I used to advertise in the programme as electrician. Now that's even better from the crowd.
You couldn't persuade Cloughie to just let you put your mobile number on the front of your shirt where it said Shipston's. Here's Van Ecke. Right-footed ball driven down towards Kruder. And he can't control it. Well, it's out of play for a throw. It'll be taken on the Nottingham Forest left-hand side. We played 101. Brighton 0. Forest 0, and you would imagine that this is going to be 0-0 after 120. The chances have been few and far between over the game as a whole. Neither goalkeepers had an awful lot to do. It was a flurry of 3 or 4 saves early in the second half, but the chances have dried up again since then. It's Van Ecke getting the ball away. And he comes into Belieber, chipped over the top by him. Aina safely watches it back to his goalkeeper. The game as a whole, we're 101 in, has only seen 6 shots on target. Forest have had 5 of those. But in extra time, next to nothing at either end. 1 off-target attempt for each of them. Joao Pedro might be able to do something about that. He's making his way forward here for Brighton, but Yates sticks out a foot to steer him away.
I've been a little bit disappointed so far with Joao Pedro. I thought he could come on and have an impact. Danny Welbeck struggled to get into the game a little bit, and he seems to be just, in my opinion, satisfying his own ego rather than playing for the team at the moment, Jim.
Van Ecke to Belieber. Now Gomez trying to squeeze the ball down the left-hand side, back in from Belieber and wide. It just bounced off him really and goes all the way through, away to Salisbury. You say he's been playing to satisfy his ego. What do you mean by that?
Just when he's received the ball in certain areas of the pitch, it's all about trying to dribble out of ridiculously tight areas instead of freeing up an easy pass to a teammate. You know, it's I've got the ball now. This is how it's looking to me. I've got the ball now, I'm going to keep it and try and show the world how good I am in a tight situation. You know, that's not what you do when you come on the pitch. You know, you come on and say, I'm going to have to sort of have an impact in the game.
Well, it's a good ball from him here. He's found a Dingra on the corner of the box. Right-footed, clipped in. Aina, was he given a shove as he headed it away? Yes, he was. And it's a free kick which will be taken by Forest away to our right. If you're just joining us, whilst there have been very little in the way of constructive goal-scoring opportunities, there was a very controversial penalty incident around the hour mark when Anderson went down away to our right-hand side. It looked as though he'd been fouled by Mitoma. A penalty was given and the decision was reversed after Peter Banks went across and had a look at the monitor. The replay to our eyes showed that Mitoma did bring Anderson down with his elbow that caught Anderson's foot. It'll be interesting to see what Nuno and Fabian Herzl made of that particular incident at full time. I've got a sneaking suspicion I can predict exactly what each is going to say, and they're not going to agree. Hudson-Odoi will bring the ball forward down the left-hand side of the box, and he's clipped it in towards the near post, but wide of the near post, and straight into the Brighton fans. And we're edging towards half-time and extra time here, and very little sign of the goal.
Yeah, you're right there. As I say, I'm not sure we've seen a certainly any clear effort in and around this extra time period. And a lot, in fact, I think we called it very early on that one goal might decide this, and it looks as though no goals will decide this, apart from a penalty shootout.
Van Hecker through towards Joao Pedro. Joao Pedro did well, good ball retention to get it away from Anderson and Hudson-Odoi, and then Adingra nudging it round the corner, and Gruder has ridden the challenge of Murillo, but Williams steamed into the challenge. That was an excellent tackle from the Welshman. He's gone out of play for a corner, the first corner that we've had for a while. But he'd done really well to beat the first challenge, Brian Gruder. There's no way that he was going to be able to get past Williams, who whips up the Nottingham Forest supporters, having made that challenge. First corner of extra time. And it's going to come from the Brighton left back, Purvis Estupiñán. Left arm above his head, makes his way back, sends it in really deep. Van Hecker heading it back and just nodded wide, but the referee had already seen an infringement, and we go into 1 minute of added time at the end of the first period of extra time. Here on Talk Sport, it's still 0-0.
Yeah, and certainly set plays we were hoping might break the deadlock if open play wouldn't, and they've been a really poor element of both teams, I think, today, the set play situations.
Long clearance from Sells, who was Forest hero in the 2 penalty shootouts that they played so far, and he'll be eyeing up another opportunity here potentially. Murillo has just run across Joao Pedro's run there as the long ball was played forward into a central area. Murillo made no attempt to go for the ball, but he's gone shoulder to shoulder on Joao Pedro, as he's entitled to do, providing the ball is within playing distance. I'm not convinced that it was, but it was allowed to pass. Brighton will bring the ball forward now towards Adingra, and then Murillo has shoved Gruder down off the ball, and the referee saw that one, and it is a free kick to Brighton.
Yeah, it's quite interesting as we stand at the moment, Jim. You're allowed to sort of barge players off the ball from kick-offs and stop them getting to the goalkeeper when you play it backwards, and referees turn a blind eye to that, but in open play you can't do it. Or you can if you're quite cute with Murillo. The first time round, second time too clear cut.
So right at the end of the first period of extra time, another Brighton set piece. Purvis Estupiñán, left-footed, driven inside the penalty area, and a header from Dunk coming round the back, goes high and wide. And that's half-time and extra time, Stu. Still 0-0. Jason, thank you. And Jason taking your calls at the conclusion of this game with Deo Akinfenwa on all of the action today in the FA Cup. Palace brushing aside the challenge of Fulham. They're in the final 4. Will it be Brighton or Forest that will join them from this time? We might find out in the next 15 minutes, but we might not. It does look as though penalties may well be settling this. Back underway then, 105 played, 0-0 between Brighton and Nottingham Forest, with Van Hecker in possession and just bringing the ball forward inside the centre circle. Sends a high ball out towards Simon Adingra over on the Brighton and Hove Albion right. He's level with the edge of the box, and then comes back out to find Van Hecker again. Van Hecker clipping one forward, retreating Williams, heads it away. Adingra over on the right-hand touchline, playing the ball back towards Hinshelwood. Hinshelwood for Gruder, Van Hecker, Joao Pedro, neat and tidy from Brighton around the edge of the box. The handball shouts against Yates inside the penalty area, but nothing given. Adingra back out for Gruder again, left-footed ball in from him, diving headed clearance from Murillo was effective. And any problem that he was carrying earlier in extra time, it seems to have been sorted out. There's no sign of Morata coming on to replace him. Lewis Dunk now bringing the ball forward for Brighton and Hove Albion to find Purvis Estupiñán. Forest's last victorious quarter-final at Norwich back in 1991. Is this the night for them? Ball inside the box here. Sliding challenge from Gomez to try and get a shot in. He dived in, hit it right-footed, looped high up in the air. Forest They're able to get it away. Elanga can't get it to stick. Thought it comes from Minte. Brighton looking the more likely at the moment. Roll by Minte into the feet of Gomez on the edge of the box. And Minte went down, no foul. And then Jota Silva went down. Free kick was given. Forrest took it quickly and passed it straight to the nearest Brighton player. Minte still writhing in agony on the edge of the box. Play carrying on. And now it goes out of play for a throw. And there's another Brighton player down. Remember, they can't make any more changes. They've already made 5, including one in extra time, which is why they can't make any more. Gomez is back on his feet, but Minte's not, and might just be a touch of cramp for him.
Yeah, just looking at that chance there for Gomez, coming in at the far post, took a horrible bounce in front of him. If he'd have guided it correctly, it would have been a fantastic finish, but such a difficult one.
Diego Gomez, a player that had a good goal-scoring record when he was with Inter Miami. He scored about a goal every 7 games, something like that. So he's nearly due for Brighton. He's still being attended to. Just to clarify the situation with the Brighton subs, they made a double change in the second half and then made 2 subsequent changes, only bringing 1 player on each time. So Webster, who then got injured late in the 90 minutes, had to hobble on, and then Lewis Dunk came on to replace him going into extra time. But they can't make any more changes now, even though they've only brought 5 on. The Forest can make changes to bring 6 substitutes on if they wish. They've made 3 so far. Joao Pedro right inside of the penalty area. It's chipped in by Gruber. Oh, what a save from Sells. That is a magnificent stop. As the ball was played in, Gomez coming to meet it, fired ahead towards goal, and Sells leaping backwards, got a hand and tip it over the bar for a corner.
Well, great cross. Gomez was fantastic on the penalty spot, rose brilliantly, great header, and Sells with the deftest of touches over the crossbar kept the score at 0-0.
The 6th Brighton corner, their 2nd of extra time, still goalless. So Brighton fans, you can hear this latest Estupinian in swinger straight into the hands of Matt Sells, who then, in trying to bring it forward and bowled it out quickly, ran into Van Hecker. What do you spot, Stu?
Well, I'm just looking at Minte. He's shuffling along in front of the manager, I think trying to catch his eye, as much to say any chance of taking me off. He won't be nightclubbing tonight, mate. I'm telling you now. He can't move those feet at the moment. Look at him.
If he scores a winning penalty, he'll be out, I promise you that.
Indeed.
He can't move, and they can't replace him for the reasons that we've detailed that he probably doesn't know. Here's a Dingra, the right-hand side of the box. Shot comes in, Sells beats it away. It's all Brighton now. Remember, they struck really late against Newcastle. I think it was 116th minute winner from Welbeck in the last round. Elanga on the halfway line is dealt with physically but fairly. Another angry reaction from the Forest bench to fourth official Thomas Bramall. Then a Dingra tries to find a way past Williams, who stands his ground but fouls him. It's a yellow card for Williams and a free kick right on the corner of the box for Brighton.
Yeah, it's in an incredible area. Williams is, well, he's half turned his back, dangled his leg. Why he's protesting with the referee, I do not know. It's a definite free kick, and at the point of the box on that right hand side, a great opportunity to whip one in, get it on target inside the near post, and see if you can get a teammate getting a deft touch or missing everybody to end up in the far post.
So that yellow card for Williams means that if Forest make it through, he would miss the semi-final through suspension. Yates already in the same boat after the yellow card he picked up earlier. So free kick to Brighton. Can they get one set piece right?
You've got to be shooting here, Jim. Any left footer worth his salt should be hitting the target from here.
So Stupinian is delivered with real pace, and it's wide of the near post. Not even close to make yourselves make a save.
Jim, you cannot go near post there. You've got to go far post. You've got the opportunity of a touch from a defender or an attacker, or alternatively the ball misses everyone and ends up in the far corner. Wow.
111 played, and we've had copious amounts of stoppage time as well, so we've probably had about 125, 126 minutes of match action, and they can't be separated. 8 minutes of extra time to go. Brighton 0, Nottingham Forest 0. Sells falling over as he delivers his goal kick, but it didn't have any adverse effect on the distance that he got, and it's headed away by Gomez past Jota, and out of play for a throw that will be taken on the Forest right hand side by Ola Aina. Aina throwing the ball back towards Anderson. Hooked over the top from him. Jota chasing after it. Oh, my God, they're right footed. He's put it wide. He's taking the deflection on his way through. And Van Ecke has been bailed out big time. It just came down for a look. Van Ecke's ball all night long. But Jota somehow managed to get a shot in. And in doing so, it actually knocked it straight into the foot of Van Ecke. And that deflection spun it wide and out of play for a corner.
Oh, Van Ecke was absolutely no idea where the ball was, lost all control of it, and just managed to get his foot in the way, unbeknown to himself.
In the 113th minute, it's 0-0. A Forest corner there, first of extra time. Anthony Elanga's going to take it, right-footed in towards the near post. Stooping Jan ducked and got his head to it. Aina tries to rifle it towards goal. His shot looped up off the top of his foot and doesn't even make the edge of the area. Brighton will try and break quickly. Adingra hitting a long ball that a Stooping Jan chases after. Aina's going to be there first. Takes a touch and a second and a third. Comes down towards the corner flag. He's defended that well. He turns it away. And Morato is going to be coming on in a moment. You would imagine for Murillo, who clears now from the edge of the D. Only as far as Hinshelwood. His touch wasn't what he wanted. And Jota Silva's able to bring it forward through the midfield before Gruder brings him down, and that's a yellow card.
Yeah, just cut across him there. I don't know whether he intentionally brought him down, but certainly as their feet crossed across each other, referee no choice but give him a yellow card.
Well, I don't think Forest will want to make any changes with the penalty shootout in mind, because every player that scored a penalty for them in a shootout this season is on the field at the moment, apart from Chris Wood, who obviously they can't call upon because of injury. So they've got all their penalty takers on. They're not going to have to go down to the bench to make tactical changes late on. Brighton, and let me remind you, can't make any more changes. Hinshelwood clears here. Joao Pedro controls it on his upper chest, and then he's able to turn. And he's got Yates' arms all around him as he goes to ground, and it's a free kick to Brighton, almost on the centre spot. 115 gone. Brighton 0, Forest 0 in extra time here on Talk Sport and across North America on Sirius XM FC. Another opportunity for the Albion with Hinshelwood. Joao Pedro getting away from Murillo, who then has fouled him. So he came back and he's claiming that he played the ball. But Peter Banks has given the free kick, and this also is in a good shooting position. It's about 3 or 4 yards behind square from where the last Estupinian free kick came in from. It's a better angle because it's nearer the right-hand side of the penalty area and 4 yards outside the box medal.
Yeah, as I say, Murillo's not happy about that. I think he was trying to pull him back with his arm, and then the initial one that ended up felling him was sort of a little bit harsh, actually. Joao Pedro kicking the back of his calf more so, but it's in a fantastic position, and once again I think it's set up for a left foot up, going open side. It's tucked in a little bit more. Time will tell.
Well, Fabian Herzler sat on his bench at the moment and is shuffling a little bit awkwardly. He knows the potential significance of this moment. Yates is turning and looking at his goalkeeper as between the pair of them they get this 5-man wall lined up in the right place. Gomez is there, so too Hinshelwood, but Estupinian is the overwhelming favourite. Forest have got to play it down behind the wall this time.
I think Gomez is going with this one.
Estupinian standing hands on hips, Gomez pushing forward, Estupinian takes it, hits the wall, and Aina can't stop it going out of play for a corner.
No, really poor. As I say, he took the first one, went for the near post, from nowhere near it. The second one, he's got a slightly better angle, but more distance, and just managed to clip the top of the wall.
So another corner to be taken on the Brighton and Hove Albion left. 3.5 minutes of extra time to go. Stupinian to take this. It's going to be an away swinger this time. Forest with everybody back inside the penalty area, including Hudson-Odoi, who had the easy job of just being able to head that one straight back out as another set-piece delivery that left an awful lot to be desired. Brighton haven't had the monopoly on that, in all fairness, and both teams have been woefully short in that department. Van Hecker to dunk. Back for Van Hecker again, and he'll go out to the Brighton right. Joe Pedro making his way forward, the most advanced of the Seagulls players to attack this. Hinshelwood, though, doesn't elect to cross. He's just played the ball back to Gomez instead. Gomez now towards Baliba. Baliba left-footed, clipped in. Estupinian with a header down! And Joao Pedro's offside. Flag is up. It's going to be checked. Brighton getting the ball in the net in the 118th minute, but the celebrations are curtailed.
Well, an absolute super ball held up to the far post there. Interesting to see the replay of this. Sells couldn't come for it. He was isolated. And, oh yeah, it's the initial one. The header back was the offside, not Joao Pedro. Credit to him, he stayed onside.
Yeah, but Stupinian was the man that was offside. He just made his run too early. Forest are going to make the change, but it's not Murillo who's coming off, it's Gibbs White who's going to come off, and Morato will come on to replace him. So Forest taking one of their penalty takers off 90 seconds from the end of 120 minutes.
Yeah, Morato just having a bit of trouble taking his necklace off now. He's asking the fourth official, could he give him a hand in undoing his necklace?
Well, it looks as though it is now sorted.
A bit of sarcasm in my voice there. As you
Absolutely.
You picked up on it. Just wanted to make sure everyone else did.
Well, and so Gibbs White has come off, and Morato hasn't been allowed on because he was still wearing jewellery, and the fourth official is now saying, well, I'm sorry to Gibbs White. Gibbs White is sprinted back and he's arguing with the fourth official, and he's saying, well, you can't make the change. Gibbs White is now being told to get off, having come back on. He stood on the touchline. He's arguing with the fourth official, saying that they shouldn't have made the change if Morato couldn't come on. It's Morato's fault. And Gibbs White's got a yellow card for that.
Well, exactly that. You've got a player who's got a necklace on. He can't come on the pitch without taking his necklace on. That is amateurish at this level. It really is.
30 seconds of extra time to play. Ball play forward. Aina heads it away. Jota Silva comes down, pushed to the ground on halfway. Referee says no. Forest incandescent. Joao Pedro steps away from the tired Aina challenge. He's running towards the edge of the area. Let's fly right-footed. It's blocked and doesn't break Estupinian's way. It's cleared by Jota Silva inside his own penalty area. Comes back out towards Baliba. Baliba to his right-hand side. Hinshelwood towards a Dingler. Right-footed ball in from a Dingler. Joao Pedro in there to try and attack it. Might break Minte's way. Doesn't quite. Aina inside his own box. Trying to win a goal kick. He can't. Trying to win a throw. He can't. Ball then cleared by Yates. And Dunk will pick it up on halfway. Still intrigued about that change though. That they're taking Gibbs White off at this stage of the game.
Yeah.
So close to penalties.
Yeah, it's a strange one.
Anderson's ball forward. Elanga chasing after it. Van Hecker is going to be there. It's not as if there's so much under the pump that they need to bring another centre-half on to get another body behind the ball. That might be how Nuno's seen it, but still really surprised that Gibbs White's the player that's made way under those circumstances. Here's Joao Pedro again, running towards the edge of the penalty area. Joao Pedro not taking responsibility yet, pulling it back towards the edge of the box. Garuda going down. Referee says no foul. Morato getting it clear. Van Hecker picks it up. Van Hecker down towards the left-hand side. In the second minute of added time. Ball into the feet of Joao Pedro. Rolling it back for Van Hecker. Goal now wins it quite clearly. Yates trying to take it on. And his is the last touch of the night. And it's going to be settled by penalties. Well, 8 weeks ago, Nottingham Forest put 7 past Brighton and Hove Albion in 90 minutes. Haven't been able to score one past them in 120 today. And it goes to a penalty shootout, the third successive penalty shootout for Nottingham Forest in this year's FA Cup. Clearly they've won the last 2. Will lightning strike thrice? Brighton 0, Forest 0. Well, Jason, thank you very much indeed. And it's going to be Brighton that will go first. João Pedro is making his way forward. They have lost their last 3 shootouts, the Albion. They'd won 7 of the previous 8. But they've lost the last 3. League Cup eliminations to Leicester and Charlton, and an FA Cup semi-final defeat to Manchester United a couple of seasons ago. João Pedro's only missed 1 out of 17 penalties in his career, and that was against Villa last season. He's going first against Sells, who has saved once in each of the 2 FA Cup shootouts that Forest have played so far. So João Pedro against Sells. Now this has taken a long time in setting up this penalty shootout. Well, we're going first here. Brighton with João Pedro. He's going to hit it right-footed. Sells bobbing up and down in front of him. João Pedro hits it right-footed. It's a great penalty. Blazed into the inside side netting. And Brighton score their first.
Well, I've got to say, great composure from him. What he's done is whipped it across his body. Sells has gone the right way with a big dive as well, but the height of it and the pace of it's just been too good to beat him.
Elliot Anderson goes next. So Elliot Anderson's been going third in the shootouts that Forest have played so far. They've gone with Wood first and Gibbs White second in both of the previous shootouts in the FA Cup this season, and neither of them are on the field. Wood through injury, Gibbs White taken off late in the game. So Anderson's going first. And this to tie it up at 1-1. Forest have won 4 of their last 5 shootouts, and all 4 they've ever played in the FA Cup. In front of the Brighton supporters, waving flags to make life difficult. Anderson rolls it calmly into the bottom right-hand corner for 1-1.
Yeah, done really well there. He's had a smashing game once again, Anderson tonight, and enhancing his reputation at Nottingham Forest. Just kept his composure, opened his body up. Goalkeeper went early, and he just slid a little side foot into the corner, Jim.
Verbruggen comes out, hands the ball to Brian Gruder, who takes it off him on the edge of the D and makes his way forward. Sells is keeping him waiting. He's just taking a swig from his bottle behind the goal, and probably also having a look on that bottle to see which way Gruder normally goes, I would imagine. Gruder will hit this left-footed. He's taken a 4-pace run up here, 1-1 after a penalty apiece. So Gruder against Sells, left-footed, he's rolled it, with the keeper having committed himself one way into the bottom left-hand corner. That was calmly done. And still, all 3 penalties have gone in.
Yeah, great composure there, just opened his body up and slid it. And his eyes on the goalkeeper, waited for the goalkeeper to commit to his left. Just wrong-footed him and slid it in.
Callum Hudson-Odoi has taken penalties in 3 shootouts in his Forest career and scored them all, including the decisive one against Ipswich in the last round of the competition. He makes his way forward to go second here for Forest. And again, the usual cacophonous welcome from the Brighton fans behind that goal. Hudson-Odoi blocking all of that from his mind. Stands motionless, runs up, hits it right-footed. Good penalty in the top left-hand corner. Although Verbruggen dived the right way, and he only read it too late, and that's 2-2.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, we've had 4 outstanding penalties so far. The goalkeepers have not made it easy for the takers. They've had good dives, gone the right way on occasion. That one was just lifted into the roof of the net, right into the corner. Goalkeeper committed himself, went the right way, but just too far out of the stretch.
Jack Inchwood has never taken a penalty in a shootout before, but he's going next for Brighton to make it 3-2 to the Albion. Right-footed, oh, it's a poor one, it's easily saved. Sells dive to his left, it lacked power, was creeping into the corner, but it lacked power. and it was comfortably stopped, and Joao Pedro races forward from the halfway line to console young Jack Hinshelwood and urge the crowd to do the same. But Brighton have missed their third penalty, and Nico Williams is coming forward now.
Yeah, as I say, Sells has gone the right way, and he was almost waiting for the penalty to arrive, to be quite honest with you. Not enough pace on that ball to beat the goalie.
Nico Williams has taken the penalty in each of the last 4 shootouts that Forest have played, and he's scored every time. He's going third, and if he scores this, Forest have the advantage. And he also stands motionless, surveys the task, and whacks it over the bar.
Really important penalty to miss that one. He's just leant back on it. He's tried to raise it into the roof of the net, and just that is the danger of that. He's just got too much on it, and it's sailed way over the crossbar. Way over the crossbar looking at the replay.
Diego Gomez comes forward to take the 4th one for Brighton. 2-2 after 3 penalties each. So both have missed. Hinshelwood's had one saved. Williams has missed. Paraguayan international Diego Gomez to get Brighton's nose back in front. His run-up is much straighter than most of his predecessors. Now he peels off to the left-hand side, hits it right-footed, and that is saved as well. Sells going the other way this time, and he got his legs to it to beat it out. He tried to go with pace and power down the middle, and he's saved by the goalkeeper. Sells has saved twice. And Milenkovic will come forward now, and he will have the chance to give Forest the advantage.
Well, the most relieved man in the stadium is Nico Williams there, and you've got to say Sells magnificent. He second guessed that there was going to be violence on the ball, down the middle near enough, and he's just held his ground, dropped to his right, and just parried it back where it come from.
Milenkovic scored his penalty in the shootout defeat in Newcastle in the League Cup. Wasn't on the field for either of the FA Cup shootouts. This to give Forest a 3-2 lead, and he's just squeezed it in, and only just, into the bottom right-hand corner, with Verbruggen going the right way. But it's a massive advantage for Nottingham Forest now. And Lewis Dunk will come forward, and he has to score.
The composure there by Milenkovic. It's been a good signing since he's come through the door in everything that he's done. May that be the most important touch that he's had for this football club since he's been here. Time will tell.
Lewis Dunk has been a Brighton player for 16 years in the first team, and in that time has taken part in 4 shootouts. He scored his penalty in all 4. He has to score his penalty in this one, or Nottingham Forest are through, and Brighton will be out of the cup. Almost a hush around the Amex, and he slots it in just to the bottom right-hand corner. Didn't hit it with conviction or, dare I say, with confidence, but he got the job done, and Brighton live to fight another day. But if Ryan Yates scores, Forest are through.
Well, I don't think we'd probably give Lewis Dunk enough credit for that penalty. Very, very similar to Milenkovic's, straight in the postage stamp in the bottom right-hand corner. And now it's this penalty to break the deadlock over 120 minutes and penalties.
It's Ryan Yates, Nottingham born, who will take the final penalty. Doesn't normally take them in shootouts, but if he scores here, Forest have got the job done. Hits it right-footed, and Nottingham Forest are through. Blazed into the bottom left-hand corner, and Forest reach their first FA Cup semi-final for 34 years. The Amex empties almost instantly. The Forest players sprint from away to our left all the way down to the south stand, away to our right, where a smoke bomb is let off by the jubilant Forest fans. And the players take the acclaim, standing right in front of them, couple diving into the crowd. They've done it again. This magnificent season for Nottingham Forest, which will result in their best league finish for 30 years, now sees them in the FA Cup semi-final for the first time since 1991. And it's Ryan Yates, Nottingham born and bred, lifelong Forest fan, who scores the decisive spot kick. After 120 minutes, it finished Brighton 0, Nottingham Forest 0, but Forest have won it 4-3 on penalties.